After lunch, Lu Jiwei took Xiang Beifei for a tour around Liangzhou University. But since she had skipped her morning class, she had to make up a desolate beast dissection lesson in the afternoon, so Xiang Beifei went back home alone. Meanwhile, a piece of news had spread silently throughout the Liangzhou University student forum, and the tree hole had exploded once again. Who helped me intimidate that N-grade freshman today? Right, have you guys targeted that N-grade freshman yet? Target him? The human bulldozer was sent flying with his punch. Really? I know Xiong Meng. Last time he was in our training class, he knocked me into a state where I couldn't even recognize my own family. It's true. And it's not just him, even old Devil Yuchi couldn't get a word in against him. You don't know how scary the entrance assessment was. Yuchi-shin intentionally made things difficult for him and sent him to the Outer Realms' desolate wilderness. The Outer Realms' desolate wilderness? Shiguma, Dodedo, Kaomoji, Winku. Yes, he came back alive. And in front of us, he killed a triangular thunder kite. Old Devil Yuchi asked him to kill a 3-souls desolate snake, but he didn't know what a 3-souls desolate snake was. So he just killed a bunch of serpentine desolate beasts to muddle through. It's the first time I've ever seen someone complete a task like that. Old Devil Yuchi wanted to trouble him on purpose but didn't succeed, and he even got talked back to. Ha ha ha. I don't know why, but this is the first time I felt so satisfied. Old Devil Yuchi always made us miserable, and finally, someone stood up for us. The tone in the tree hole regarding the N-grade freshman, Xiang Beifei, had uniformly changed. Liangzhou University had nearly 30,000 students, but since it was summer break, only a couple hundred were present, and there was no video coverage. Everything relied on oral accounts from these people. However, descriptions in words alone were less impactful than witnessing in person, and many people didn't understand the true nature of that so-called perfect strike. Most who were not present were skeptical, finding it hard to believe that an N-grade freshman could achieve such a feat. Some arrogant S-grade prodigies were dissatisfied and clamored to test this N-grade freshman at the start of the school term. They couldn't believe an N-grade freshman could be such a miracle. I don't believe he's that strong. He must have used someone else's system for help. So what if he used someone else's system for help? It's within the rules. Besides, if he doesn't have the corresponding cultivation level, other people's system items wouldn't be of any help to him. Heh, baseless talk. I hardly believe it. No matter what everyone thought about the entrance assessment in the tree hole, one undeniable fact was that N-grade freshman Xiang Beifei had already received the acceptance letter from Liangzhou University. Him becoming a part of Liangzhou University was a foregone conclusion. Xiang Beifei had no idea about these things. He still didn't know how to access the Liangzhou University forum, but anyway, this matter didn't matter much to him. His goal of getting into Liangzhou University had been achieved. That was enough. What he didn't expect was that he had made the hot search once again. An N-grade awakener passing the Liangzhou University entrance assessment was major news. Everyone was aware that elite universities do not admit N-grade students. Among the 9 elite universities, only Liangzhou University set a very strict threshold for N-grade students, and it had been 10 years since any N-grade awakeners dared to apply for Liangzhou University, let alone pass the entrance assessment. Shang Tianxiong was the first, and his achievements today proved his strength. But the second and third N-grade awakeners applied during the time when Shang Tianxiong was still teaching at Liangzhou University. Back then, the person responsible for the entrance assessment of N-grade students was Shang Tianxiong. After Shang Tianxiong left Liangzhou University, Xiang Beifei was the first N-grade student to be admitted to Liangzhou University in 10 years. Many people were guessing how he managed to get admitted, questioning if he had bribed the examiners and such. However, once they heard that the person responsible for the assessment was Yuchi-shin, no one dared to suspect bribery anymore. Yuchi-shin was the most fearsome teacher at Liangzhou University, with a notorious reputation. Various online media outlets reported the news, making Xiang Beifei famous once again. If he were to awaken a system like Fame System, he would undoubtedly soar. You actually passed the entrance assessment so quietly. You should have told me in advance. Xiang Qingda was very excited when he heard the news. Continue reading stories on ML. Xiang Beifei smiled but didn't say much. It hadn't been many days since the college entrance exam, and on the day of the exam, his grandfather was even more nervous than he was. "Good kid. We're having a celebration dinner tonight." Kong Daming was also very pleased and immediately decided to hold another celebration dinner for Xiang Beifei and Kong Shouwen. After all, running a restaurant made organizing a celebration dinner quite simple. Xiang Beifei didn't refuse. For 2 consecutive days, he had to deal with other celebrations and dodge media interviews. Lu Jiwei wasn't the only one interested in him. 2 days later, he received the admission letter from Liangzhou University. The admission letter was very exquisite and looked quite impressive. But what caught Xiang Beifei's attention was a phrase on the admission letter. "Our martial arts college offers various courses related to martial artists. Please consider the courses you will select based on your system's features during the summer. Course selection is due 1 week after the start of term. If uncertain, you can consult the relevant tutor after the start of term." A course list is attached. The admission letter also came with introductions to various courses. As everyone's awakened system is different, and elective courses should be chosen based on the features of one's own system. Students of the liberal arts college need to choose a specialty due to their orientation toward various professions in life, such as doctors, teachers, technology, etc. This decision is made by the system they awaken. However, the martial arts college does not differentiate between specialties. People choose the martial arts college because their system abilities relate to martial cultivation, which requires fighting, and occasionally capturing a couple of desolate beasts for practice. Xiang Beifei briefly looked over the mandatory courses of the martial arts college, which included Desolate Beast Cognition and Anatomy, Outer Domain Desolate Land Simulation, Jojo Alliance Defense Introduction, System Ability Analysis and Processing. The Jojo Alliance requires martial artists to guard its territory. Learning to combat desolate beasts is a necessity for every martial artist, so the mandatory courses involve a lot of knowledge about these creatures. There is a vast array of elective courses, including Magic Knowledge Specialization, Physical Attack Specialization, Defense Ability Specialization, Criminal Investigation, Criminal Psychology, Firearms Study, Desolate Beast Black Tech Tool Study, All Heavens Knowledge Theory Studies, Film Appreciation, Combat Training, Novel Appreciation, Mechanical Manufacturing, Formation Knowledge Introduction, Rune Knowledge Introduction, How to Better Complete System Tasks, Amazing System Items Appreciation, Desolate Beast Venom Analysis, Basic Treatment, for non-medical systems, How to Become a Game Master, and so on. Beyond the 4 mandatory courses, there are a whopping 120 elective courses offered. These electives were an eye-opener for Xiang Beifei, such as the Film Appreciation course, which seems to cater to those who have awakened the all-heaven system. Take Wang Zhe, whom he encountered last time, who needs to traverse into system-created movies to complete tasks. The Novel Appreciation course is similar. Some tasks involve traversing into Xianxia novels, while others entail penetrating sci-fi and various other genres of novels. These courses can help participants analyze how to accomplish the book and film tasks set by their systems. Most of these books and films are written by people from the Liberal Arts College, which houses professional novelists and filmmakers who write novels or shoot films and animations to earn a living. Once their works are released and sometimes become classics, they are chosen by these transcend all world systems, which then let their hosts traverse into these movies and novels to complete tasks and acquire powerful abilities. Systems like Transcend All Worlds, which seem very impressive, merely involve traversing through fictional spaces created by systems, be it novels or films. These are just types of virtual spaces set up by the systems and are not real. The abilities hosts acquire in these movie and novel spaces are still tied to their own cultivation levels. In the system worlds, many people often complain about authors online, questioning why they set up their plots in such troubling ways. It's usually because when they traverse into novels to complete system tasks, they get stuck due to the storyline and can't finish their tasks, leading them to vent their frustrations on the authors. Yes, that's probably the reason. Courses like gaming are targeted at students who need to play games to complete their system tasks, where they blast through games to acquire equipment which they can then bring back into reality with the help of their systems. Teachers will instruct them on how to better conquer these games and familiarize them with each game's characteristics, such as treasure box locations and drop rates, with comprehensive guidance provided. And those who develop these games are still those guys from the liberal arts college. With such a dazzling array of elective courses, martial artists' elective options are not all related to martial arts. A wide range of special courses are available as well. Xiang Beifei was also contemplating which courses he needed to choose. The magic attack course sounded interesting. He could convert spiritual power into flames, which was a form of magic. He wondered if it was possible to transform spiritual power into other elements like ice or lightning. He was also very interested in formation knowledge. Liangzhou University was clearly protected by a powerful formation, and it was said that Juzhou's border defenses incorporated formations. Not to mention the teleportation spheres from the entrance examination. They were a type of formation sealed within. He was definitely going to choose the Amazing System Items Appreciation course. It felt as if it were tailor-made for him. He wanted to see what other system rewards looked like and from which systems they came, so when the time came to take someone else's reward, he would have an idea of what to expect. Basic Treatment was a course aimed at those outside the medical system. In other words, if his system didn't provide healing items, it would be best to take this course, which taught how to administer first aid in the wild, such as using herbs or parts of desolate beasts' blood and tissues, or how to use spiritual power to heal others. Without a system of his own, Xiang Beifei had to choose this course. From his point of view, it seemed like he could take any of the courses. Being able to participate in other system tasks meant that learning from these courses could be very useful. College was a 4-year program, and there were specific requirements for graduation in terms of credits and realm. In addition to passing the mandatory courses, one had to take at least 30 elective courses. Since the 4 mandatory courses had to be taken each semester, choosing 4 additional electives per semester was quite good. Although every student had a system, their energy was still finite. Seems like it's not realistic to study everything. Though Xiang Beifei possessed the ability of learn by analogy, it was predicated on having to learn something firsthand before he could draw analogies from it. Many electives required the teacher's lecturing and experiential teaching, which couldn't be learned simply by studying a book. Therefore, if he wanted to truly master a course, he had to attend class earnestly. I still need to ask Elder Luo for advice and see what he thinks. Xiang Beifei remembered that Elder Luo had agreed to teach him about spiritual power cultivation, which he truly needed at the moment, so he gave Elder Luo a call. On the other end of the phone, Elder Luo agreed quite readily. Sure, come over tomorrow, and I'll give you some pointers. It's a good time to teach you how to cultivate spiritual power. All right? I'll come over first thing in the morning. As Xiang Beifei hung up the phone, he seemed to faintly hear the sound of running water in the background, clueless about what boring activity Elder Luo was engaged in now. But he had no interest in knowing, since whatever the old man was doing, he was getting stronger. Being around such an idle fish during his university days must be the right choice. Early the next day, Xiang Beifei went to Liangzhou University. Luo Laotu was still lying at the university gates cracking sunflower seeds. Xiang Beifei greeted him politely. Hello, Elder Luo. Wait a second. I'm in the middle of something important. Luo Laotu gestured for Xiang Beifei not to disturb him and continued to stare at the woods in the distance. Rustle. 3 birds leaped into the sky from the trees. Luo Laotu, seeing the birds take flight, finally turned his gaze away contentedly. His system interface displayed. You have counted 50 birds. Leisure value plus 50. He really was idling. Xiang Beifei couldn't help but think. Let's go. I'll take you out for some fun. Luo Laotu stood up from his lounge chair and offered Xiang Beifei another handful of sunflower seeds. Thank you. Xiang Beifei quite liked the taste of the seeds. While cracking them open, he said, I just received my acceptance letter and am considering which electives to take. Do you have any suggestions, sir? Ah, university electives. That really brings back memories. Luo Laotu stretched luxuriously and said, Back in my day, I used to be a student too, going to class whenever I felt like it. University life is the best, isn't it? He stroked his short white beard and turned his head to look at Xiang Beifei. How about this? I'll go to class with you? Whatever course you choose, I'll choose the same one. Discover more content at ML. Xiang Beifei was taken aback. Are you that bored? Following me to class? Would those professors dare to teach then? You're not joking, are you? Xiang Beifei asked. Not necessarily. Who says old people can't attend classes? Elder Luo walked leisurely with his hands behind his back, and after a long pause, he casually said, But to get back to the point, these past 2 days I've been carefully watching the video of your fight with the Triangular Thunderkite. I reviewed it in slow motion, analyzing your every move from all angles, a full 360 degrees. A video that didn't even show 5 seconds of action, and it needs such detailed analysis? And then, Xiang Beifei asked nonchalantly. The video didn't spread, but the school's upper echelons could certainly see it, and it was bound to be analyzed, which wasn't surprising to Xiang Beifei. After all, the world itself was quite special. Any ability that seemed unusual compared to ordinary people could be explained with a system, so he didn't need to worry about how special his abilities were. I saw signs of lightning strikes on the shoulder of your clothes, which, from my observation, should be the scorch marks from Triangular Thunderkite's lightning. That is to say, you were injured the first time you killed a Triangular Thunderkite, and it wasn't very smooth. That Triangular Thunderkite must have given you some trouble. But when you killed the second Triangular Thunderkite, your movements and timing were nearly impeccable. You could determine the timing of the Triangular Thunderkite's attack and started dodging before its eyes even emitted lightning. You must have learned from your experience with the first Triangular Thunderkite. Such strong analytical and learning abilities are truly rare. I even suspect that you might have awakened a system that allows you to learn by analogy, drawing inferences about other cases from one instance, Elder Luo remarked with a sigh. How impressive! Xiang Beifei was quite astonished. This old man who was always idling about had such keen insight. When he killed the first Triangular Thunderkite, no one saw it. Others had only seen him kill the second one, which was captured on camera for just a few seconds. Yet, Elder Luo managed to analyze Xiang Beifei's encounter in the outer wilderness from that short video, inferring his injury from the first kite and the swift killing of the second. He got most of it right. Your journey continues with ML. He even managed to guess some of Xiang Beifei's abilities, just short of saying the words, learn by analogy. Rest assured, I've kept the video secret for you. Students can't see it, which prevents others from fully analyzing you, and that's to your advantage. Ordinary teachers don't have my powerful analytical skills. They can't see much and would at most think you're a body cultivator with judgment beyond that of ordinary people, Elder Luo said with a chuckle. Xiang Beifei noticed Elder Luo's system interface had an observation value of only 123, but he suspected that when Elder Luo was analyzing the video, this value might have soared to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions. Elder Luo's leisure system could reallocate points at will, directly boosting one aspect of his abilities, which was genuinely not to be underestimated. Thank you, Elder Luo. Xiang Beifei was truly grateful in his heart. As an elder, Elder Luo was helping him cover up, all for his sake. No need, you're following me around, so of course, I have to understand you to mentor you appropriately. If you're strong at learning, it doesn't really matter what courses you choose. But I suggest you start with your weaker areas. You have strength and speed, but your defensive power isn't very good. You need to learn physical defense. Does your system provide any defensive cultivation techniques for training? Elder Luo asked further. Xiang Beifei shook his head. No, I only excel at offense. To be precise, he didn't even have offensive cultivation techniques. The only one he was practicing was the Chaos Yin-Yang formula, which was a way of circulating spiritual power and belonged to internal practice. The sole means of attack, Rapid Flame, was learned from Uncle Lu. Without a system, he would be a blank slate. So you're saying I should take the Defense Ability Specialization course? Xiang Beifei inquired. The Defense Ability Specialization course is designed for awakeners whose systems do not provide defensive capabilities. The teacher will offer several of the most basic R-ranked and S-ranked cultivation methods for students to select for training. Still, those are generic techniques with limited achievements, barely better than none for students. I have higher expectations for you. I'll figure something out for you next time. No rush, Elder Luo replied. Elder Luo's defense was rather basic, covering his body with spiritual power and then simply adding points until it was maxed out. Primitive yet extremely powerful. However, this method did not suit Xiang Beifei, so he didn't plan to teach him defense himself. All right, Xiang Beifei nodded. The elder was experienced and had unique insight. He decided to follow Elder Luo's lead in everything. Also, when you fight, it seems you're accustomed to using your fists and rarely use your feet. Have you never practiced kicks or other foot-based techniques? Elder Luo continued. Feet. Xiang Beifei pondered and spotted a small stone nearby. He walked over and stomped on the ground, instantly igniting his foot with flames, and kicked the stone. Boom! The palm-sized stone shattered into dust from his kick. This? Xiang Beifei asked. Elder Luo was startled. Your footwork is also this powerful? Then why haven't I seen you use your feet? Whether it was dealing with Wang Zhe, Xiong Meng, or the triangular thunderkite, Xiang Beifei always resolved the fight with a punch. Elder Luo had never seen him use his feet before. No need. The flames on Xiang Beifei's foot gradually faded, and he began munching on sunflower seeds, replying, Why use feet when a fist can handle it? With learn by analogy, once he could ignite his fists with fire, it meant every motion of his body could channel spiritual power and unleash powerful flames. He didn't like using his feet because he was wearing shoes, and if he wasn't careful with controlling the spiritual power, the flames would burn them. What a waste of a good pair of shoes. They walked along the school's path and then to the lakeside where they had casually chatted the other day. Many system abilities rely on spiritual power, such as the major categories of systems related to mind-reading system and charming system. You have spiritual power defense, but you lack the means for spiritual attack. I don't know if you can cultivate it, but I'll guide you, and how much you can learn depends on you. Elder Luo leaned against the pavilion's railing, gazing at the tranquil lake surface. Seemingly without any movement, an invisible ripple suddenly spread out from him, merging with the lake water. Suddenly, the lake water roiled with bubbles emerging, followed by several plop-plop sounds, as countless carp floated to the surface, belly up, appearing to be stunned. Incredible! Xiang Beifei's eyes lit up. He could see Elder Luo's system, and this type of spiritual power attack was not given by any of Elder Luo's system abilities, but purely through his own spiritual fluctuations, forcibly stunning the fish. This kind of remote spiritual attack is very effective against crucial people or desolate beasts, such as Meng Huai, who can only appear in dreams. Of course, your spiritual defense is strong, so they might not drag you into a dream, but if you encounter a team member in the wilderness entangled by Meng Huai, you must actively go into the dream to save them, and at that time it would be difficult to manage without brute force in the dream. Elder Luo explained. I understand. So how should I cultivate? Xiang Beifei really didn't know how Elder Luo had managed this, which was also his shortcoming. Others had system assistants possessing various cultivation techniques, but he needed to learn on his own, trying to make up for any potential weaknesses. Actually, spiritual power is also a type of spiritual power. It just transforms spiritual power in your brain into another form. Therefore, you need to guide the spiritual power through meditation, using your own thoughts, pointed out Elder Luo, pointing at Xiang Beifei's head. You can try to imagine. Imagine that you can make it move out of thin air. Originally, I just stared at a piece of paper, thinking in my mind, move, 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 and then it started moving. Elder Luo chuckled. How does it sound like self-hypnosis? Xiang Beifei stared at Elder Luo's system interface, spiritual power, 732, and grinned wryly, thinking, are you sure it's not just system enhancements? But on second thought, Elder Luo's system enhancements only increase the intensity of one ability, not create it. Meaning, Elder Luo adjusted his spiritual intensity to 732, which just means the intensity of his spiritual attack is 732. But if his spiritual power is not trained to the point of external projection, Even if the spiritual attack intensity is adjusted to 56 million, it won't be able to be exerted. It's like loading an ammunition that can cause 56 million points of destruction into a tank, but without learning the operating procedures of the tank, not knowing how to fire it, that powerful ammunition would just rot in the chamber as a dud. Thus, Elder Luo also needs to initially learn a skill before he can use the system to enhance the power of that skill. You don't need to deal with the carp in the lake. Just try to float these melon seed shells in mid-air. Concentrate fully on the melon seed shells, gathering your spiritual power in your brain. Try to decompose it into something intangible and ethereal. Let it dissipate around, and then gather it back, finally directing the spiritual power towards one direction. Elder Luo turned his gaze back to the carp in the lake, another wave emanating from his body. The carp, belly up on the lake's surface, were reawakened, righting themselves and sinking back into the water. When you first learn spiritual power, I suggest you try by enhancing your senses. Do you have any system items that enhance senses? Elder Luo asked. Xiang Beifei shook his head. Last time, Uncle Lu did give him a spiritual perception pill, but he had integrated it to light up a constellation. Then you crack this melon seed, and I'll guide you first. Next time, you must learn to try on your own. You have to understand something, even without the appropriate sensory items, you can enhance your senses with spiritual power. Elder Luo put a red melon seed into Xiang Beifei's hand. This red melon seed was quite special, acquired by Elder Luo from his own shop using 50 leisure value. Can I also enhance my senses? Xiang Beifei had never considered this question before. He cracked open the red seed and then ate it. Of course, for instance, the smelling pill. This pill, after you take it, transforms into a special spiritual power that hovers above your nose, making your perception more acute. However, if you wish to learn, you can enhance your smelling ability through your own spiritual power, though the result won't be as effective as the system's items. Elder Luo explained. System items are, after all, a convenient method, highly targeted, and easy to use, much easier than figuring it out on your own. It's like climbing a 100-story building. You'd have to take the stairs, but the system instantly provides an elevator or a helicopter. There are some aspects in which system items can achieve what people can through cultivation, but it's much harder for people. Enjoy new adventures at ML. Understood. Shortly after Xiang Beifei cracked the seed, he quickly felt a surge of spiritual power not belonging to him within his body. Elder Luo extended a finger and wiggled it. The spiritual power inside Xiang Beifei was drawn to his eyes. At that moment, Xiang Beifei's vision underwent a remarkable change. It felt as if his eyes had become microscopes. In his view, every texture of the seed shell became clearly visible. The strangest thing was that his vision comprised only the seed shell. He couldn't see any other scenery. This is a method to enhance vision. I've adjusted your perception to focus on the seed shell. Remember the spiritual power I guided inside your body. In the future, you can also try to guide it using your own spiritual power. Of course, you can learn to block out your other senses, such as... Elder Luo flicked his finger again, and the foreign spiritual power moved into Xiang Beifei's ears in a very subtle manner. In an instant, the world became silent, devoid of any sound. Xiang Beifei marveled at Elder Luo's control of spiritual power, which seemed effortlessly capable of blocking his perceptions. I should be able to learn this method of circulating spiritual power. Xiang Beifei pondered, planning to try mastering this technique next time. However, for now, as Elder Luo had blocked his hearing, he still needed to focus his spiritual power, step by step. With the world becoming quiet, nothing could distract him. In fact, it was nearly impossible to be distracted since his vision contained nothing else but the seed shell, which Elder Luo allowed him to see. It's okay, take it slow. When I mastered this initially, it also took me almost a month. Don't rush it too much. After conveying his voice to Xiang Beifei, Elder Luo went offline. Let my spiritual power emanate from my mind, focusing on the seed shell. Xiang Beifei, contemplating Elder Luo's words, stared at the seed shell in his hand and began practicing the spiritual power technique Elder Luo had taught him. He tried for a long time without success, but Elder Luo patiently guided him. While Xiang Beifei was cultivating, Elder Luo was counting how many white clouds drifted over in the sky, how many leaves fell from a tree in a minute, and doing other mundane tasks required by the system. Elder Luo was getting stronger nearly every moment, and in Xiang Beifei's view, this leisure system was truly formidable. For 3 consecutive days, Xiang Beifei came to Liangzhou University to study with Elder Luo. He also practiced at home, but without Elder Luo's guidance, he couldn't achieve complete concentration. Gradually, he felt as if something extra existed in his mind, the strands of spiritual power slowly swirling within. He vaguely managed to display the spiritual power in his mind in a special way. However, a problem arose. Although the spiritual power was deployed, it drifted around aimlessly without any aggressiveness. He needed to reconcentrate the spiritual power. On the 4th day, Xiang Beifei finally got the trick. He succeeded in levitating the seed shell using his own spiritual power. Moreover, he inadvertently discovered that he had gained a deeper understanding of this ability. On the 5th day of studying spiritual power, Xiang Beifei routinely took a car to Liangzhou University, ready to share his insights with Elder Luo. However, when he found Elder Luo, he noticed that the elder seemed to be in a bad mood, sitting in a chair and cracking sunflower seeds. Spit, spit, spit. The shells he spit out flew like bullets, leaving the nearby trash can riddled with holes. That trash can had seen better days and was now definitely on its last legs. You vented your anger on the trash can. Leisure value +1. What's wrong, Elder Luo? You seem really upset. Don't even start. It's bad luck. Elder Luo snapped angrily. What happened? Could someone actually make you so angry? Xiang Beifei pulled up a chair and honestly sat next to the distressed elder. Elder Luo passed a small handful of sunflower seeds to Xiang Beifei, huffing angrily. You have huge potential, but those people at the school really have no vision. I have to cultivate you properly, and in the future, you must help me take my revenge. Hang up those SSR talents and beat them hard. See if they dare to spout nonsense. Dare to be arrogant in front of me. SSR? Were you bullied by SSR? Xiang Beifei asked, puzzled. Didn't I tell you a few days ago, this year there are 11 SSR new students in the entire Jizhou Alliance? Originally, the school had already negotiated with 2 SSR Awakeners, offering them huge benefits to come to our Liangzhou University. But these 2 guys turned their backs at the last minute. They took the benefits, then refused to come to our university. Elder Luo was livid. They did what? Xiang Beifei exclaimed in surprise. What made them change their minds? Among the 9 elite universities, Liangzhou University's overall strength was not the very top, but it was still passable. The university was teeming with powerful awakeners, making it a great choice for studying here. Elder Luo stopped, saying helplessly, It's because of you. Me? Xiang Beifei grew even more confused. I don't think I've even met them. Because a few days ago, our Liangzhou University admitted you, an N-level new student. Then, the recruiters from other universities seized the chance to undermine us, basically saying that the quality of education at Liangzhou University had declined, sinking to the point of accepting an N-level student, and then they persuaded the SSRs. Basically, at that time, they implied that the reputation of Liangzhou University was lowered by an N-level student like you. They disdained coming to our Liangzhou University and went to Qingzhou University and Yenzhou University instead. Is that even possible? Xiang Beifei found it bizarre that just because Liangzhou University admitted him, an N-level student, 2 SSR students didn't want to come anymore. They disdained to be in the same school with him, an N-level student? Last night when you weren't here, many of our school's leaders went to retain those 2 SSRs, but they ended up being openly ridiculed by the admissions staff from Qingzhou University and Yenzhou University. At that moment, I nearly grabbed those bastards and gave them a beating. Elder Luo was so angry he was blowing his beard and glaring, and then spat out another sunflower seed shell, making another hole in the trash can. He was straightforward and lived a straightforward life, never beating around the bush when it came to speaking his mind. I wanted to use your potential as a counterargument, But, unfortunately, empty claims only made matters worse. You have no idea how furious I am. Knowing your potential but unable to prove it to them. It drives me mad. Elder Luo tugged at his own beard, extremely aggravated. It's the first time I've heard of refusing the invitation from Liangzhou University because of an N-level student. Don't you guys sign some kind of agreement that makes it impossible to back out? Xiang Beifei said. It was still under negotiation. We were about to sign, but just before we did, they were persuaded by the people from Qingzhou University and Yenzhou University. Elder Luo explained. After a long pause, he added, "These people are really short-sighted. They actually look down on you." Elder Luo cursed loudly. They simply don't understand your potential. What does being N-level matter? Could an N-level who has killed so many desolate beasts be that simple? What's so great about SSR level? It's just. Elder Luo intended to say something harsh, but after saying, "it's just," for a while, he struggled to find a suitable word to describe it. Because SSR was truly remarkable, having mid-stage chi-controlling strength right after awakening, and 2 months later, now possessing late-stage chi-controlling strength. A whole minor realm higher than Xiang Beifei's current cultivation. With such talent, given time, they might reach meridian opening stage within half a year, and possibly God refining stage by the time they graduate from college in 4 years. Bastards, just because they have an extra S. As if they're so great, daring to act all haughty in front of me. I could slap them dead with one strike. Elder Luo grew angrier the more he thought about it. It wasn't that he was angry SSRs weren't coming, but because he was ridiculed by other schools' recruiting officers, and he had no way to refute them. You fiercely cursed the SSR freshmen. Leisure value +2. I see. Xiang Beifei continued calmly cracking sunflower seeds, and then asked, "Since they're not coming to Liangzhou University anymore, can you ask them to return the benefits they took? You make it sound so easy. It's just that those people at our school can't lower their faces, saying that after all, they are SSRs, and their future achievements are boundless. This little benefit is like making friends with them." I just laugh. Make friends my ass. They look down on our Liangzhou University and still want to make friends? Trying to stick a hot face to their cold butts. Elder Luo was very displeased with the way those leaders at Liangzhou University handled the situation, and then patted Xiang Beifei on the shoulder. "Wouldn't it be better to give those things to you instead?" Xiang Beifei stroked his chin. That's not a bad idea. The most important thing is, after I came back last night, some disagreements emerged within our school's leadership. Some people think that Liangzhou University's decision to admit you that day was a mistake. They say we admitted a N-level student and lost 2 SSRs, picking up sesame seeds and losing watermelons. I was so furious back then. Elder Luo rubbed his fist, squinting and humming twice. Xiang Beifei couldn't help but laugh silently because he saw in Elder Luo's taskbar yesterday a message. You flipped a table in front of the school leaders, leisure value +1. You had an unpleasant confrontation with the school leaders over Xiang Beifei's issue, leisure value +1. Elder Luo's leisure system makes him stronger no matter what he does. Even getting angry when idle counts as leisure, but actively getting angry doesn't give much leisure value. His system advocates for a joyful life, enjoying life. Like when he cussed out Yuchi Shin, it relieved him, giving him 50 leisure points, but if cussing someone out doesn't smooth things over for him, he only gets 1 leisure point. Basically, if you do something and feel good after, you get more points, if not, you get fewer. Don't dwell on it too much, Elder Luo. Not coming to Liangzhou University is their loss. Xiang Beifei said. Exactly. You have a good eye. Elder Luo looked at Xiang Beifei with satisfaction and then said, Of course. I know you had no other choice but to come here. Even if I had a choice, I would still pick this place. You forgot my old man used to be here, didn't you? Xiang Beifei said. Haha. Right. Look at my memory. It was then that Elder Luo remembered and said, Now, because of the SSR issue, those leaders at Liangzhou University think admitting you was a mistake, but I'm going to train you well just to spite them. He pondered for a moment, then asked, By the way, How's your spiritual power training going? Have you gotten the sunflower seed to move yet? Even a little movement will do. I'm not asking for much. I've made a little progress. Show me. You've only been training for a few days. Being able to move the sunflower seed shell even slightly would be a huge improvement, Elder Luo said. All right. Xiang Beifei cracked a sunflower seed, and then he spat the shell forward. Whoosh! The sunflower seed shell suddenly floated in mid-air. Xiang Beifei stared at the sunflower seed shell, focusing all his attention on it, and then controlled it to drift up, down, left, and right. Not far away, the trash can that Elder Luo had shot several holes in with sunflower seed shells was now being maneuvered by Xiang Beifei's own shell like a roller coaster, leisurely threading in and out of the small holes in the trash can. What? Elder Luo exclaimed, forgetting to crack the sunflower seed in his hand. You mastered it this quickly? This was no small progress at all. This was only his 5th day of training. Yes, and I also discovered that as long as I control my spiritual power properly. Xiang Beifei concentrated intently on the sunflower seed shell, focusing all his attention on the floating shell, and then whoosh! The sunflower seed shell suddenly burst into flames, then zipped around like a fiery missile. After darting around for a while, the sunflower seed shell turned to ash, falling to the ground. Plop! The sunflower seed fell from Elder Luo's hand. His eyes filled with astonishment. You applied your spiritual power operating method to your spiritual power? Yes, you mentioned that spiritual power is also a special form of spiritual power, so I tried it, Xiang Beifei said. Xiang Beifei then turned his gaze to a fallen leaf on the ground. He stared at the leaf, and his spiritual power formed an invisible wave, concentrating on the leaf. The leaf swiftly lifted up and whoosh! It ignited again. This time, Xiang Beifei didn't even touch the leaf. He simply ignited the leaf from a distance. My goodness! You learned this too fast. Elder Luo suddenly stood up and began sizing up Xiang Beifei once again. Fortunately, I can control their speed and it's not very fast. Using this attack on opponents isn't really practical at the moment, and it's quite strenuous and thankless. Although this ability seemed impressive, Xiang Beifei needed to be extremely focused to use it, and there was a process involved. His spiritual power had to cover the opponent. Once the opponent moved, if his spiritual power didn't hit, he basically couldn't catch up. During a fight, why would an opponent just stand there and wait to be ignited by him? However, this method was good for sneak attacks, like focusing on someone from a distance and then giving them a flame bath without their knowledge. Delightful. You're still not satisfied? I only asked for a slight movement. Yet you went ahead and made the melon seeds fly and even ignited them. The more Elder Luo watched Xiang Beifei, the more he felt like he was looking at a little monster. If it weren't for Xiang Beifei's current mastery being only in the middle stage of Qi mastery, he would even suspect that this kid's awakened system talent could possibly be at the UR level. Every time Xiang Beifei seemed to bring him many unexpected surprises. And quickly he remembered something and suddenly burst out laughing proudly. Ha ha! I knew it! I knew it! My judgment can't be wrong. You definitely won't be inferior to those 2 SSRs. Beat them up in the future. Xiang Beifei liked Elder Luo's straightforward nature. He thought for a moment and then asked, what are the names of those 2 SSR awakeners? Which elite universities did they go to now? One is called Ho Chengguo. He went to Qingzhou University. The other is called Chun Baiwen. He went to Yenzhou University. They unexpectedly defected and were recruited by those universities' admission teachers because the only 2 URs in the entire alliance this year also went to these 2 universities, so they chose these schools, Elder Luo said. Ho Chengguo, Chun Baiwen. Okay, I've got it. Are these names spelled like this? Xiang Beifei's fingertips emitted flames, and with the flames, he wrote these 2 names in the air. Yes, those are the names. Elder Luo watched Xiang Beifei in amazement, as he wrote with spiritual power in the air, a level of proficiency with spiritual power that almost no newcomer could achieve. Well, noted down in the little notebook, SSR Awakeners are rare. As long as the names are right, then definitely there won't be a mistake in finding the right person. Next time there's a chance, having a chat about life with them and helping Elder Luo seek revenge sounds good. Xiang Beifei erased the flames from the air. But just then, a piercing voice suddenly came from the school gate. "Ha ha! Professor Luo, has Liangzhou University fallen so low that they let someone like you guard the gate?" The speaker was a bald old man with a tuft of goatee beard and a black mole on his cheek, which was particularly prominent because of a single hair growing out of it. Upon hearing this voice, Elder Luo nearly exploded. He immediately stood up and glared at the newcomer angrily. "What are you doing here? Isn't it just to escort Ho Chenggu back to our Qingzhou University? Specially came to bid you farewell? After all, you've taken such good care of him these past few days. It's only proper for him to show some manners, isn't it?" The goatee-bearded old man said with a smug yet insincere grin. "Host. Renjiang Hai. SR level, threshold system. Realm." The description of this system wasn't very clear. The opponent's strength was obviously above meridian opening, and Xiang Beifei couldn't see it nor could he infer anything from the name of the system. Next to this man named Renjiang Hai was a young man about Xiang Beifei's age, who looked arrogant and somewhat slack in his demeanor. Xiang Beifei was slightly surprised because he saw the system interface of this person. Host. Ho Chenggu. SSR level. Shadow Saint system. Realm. Late Qi mastery. Huh? This guy, is he the SSR that Elder Luo mentioned? The genius awakener who took a huge favor from Liangzhou University and then didn't switch sides to Liangzhou University? This was Xiang Beifei's first encounter with an SSR-level awakener. Up till now, he had only seen people with SR systems. Except for Elder Luo's system, which was rather special and visible to him, the cultivation of other SR-level awakeners was too high, beyond his sight. Let alone an SSR. However, it was clear that this SSR person appeared to be a freshman, and his cultivation was still within a range that he could see. This fellow student looks familiar. Renjiang Hai sized up Xiang Beifei and soon recalled something, revealing a smile that seemed mocking. Got it. The freshman N-level student newly recruited by Liangzhou University this year. The one who was the top scorer originally, right? Xiang Beifei's photo was still circulating quite a bit. After he finished speaking, the SSR young man slightly frowned, turned his face to look at Xiang Beifei, and soon his eyes showed a trace of disdain. An N-level, what is he in front of an SSR? Mind your own damn business, Elder Luo replied. Of course it's none of my business, but to think that Liangzhou University actually recruited an N-level student. Haha, what a fall from grace. Ho Chenggu. Now you should realize how right your choice was. Renjiang Hai glanced lazily at Ho Chenggu. Ho Chenggu didn't respond directly. Although he was an SSR, he hadn't yet fully grown and couldn't talk big to someone like Professor Luo. However, he snorted disdainfully through his nose. Xiang Beifei didn't say anything, just curiously observing Ho Chenggu's system. This was his first encounter with an SSR system. The opponent was only in the latter stages of Qi controlling, so Xiang Beifei could see exactly what the system was all about. Shadow Saint System Overview. Anyone whose shadow you step on will silently be bound to you. For every advancement they make in their cultivation, you can plunder their cultivation for your own use, with the amount depending on the opponent's status. This includes various attributes like strength, speed, etc. Current shadows bound by your shadow. 1000/1000 Qi controlling stage. Note: try to bind and plunder people with high talent and rapid progression as your shadow servants. Do not attempt to bind someone whose cultivation level is a whole realm higher than yours. After reading this system introduction, Xiang Beifei was quite amazed. The system that allowed S-level Lu Qianrou to plunder backups had already seemed very strange to Xiang Beifei, but this Shadow Saint system was even more terrifying. Ho Chenggu's SSR Shadow Saint system actually plunders other people's cultivation? That meant he didn't need to cultivate at all. He just needed to bind those with good innate talent. People whose shadows he stepped on were essentially bound to him, turning into his shadow servants. As long as his shadow servants' cultivation levels increased, so did his. Now, Ho Chenggu had already bound 1,000 people, which was the maximum number of people he could bind at the Qi controlling stage. If he steps into the meridian opening stage, he would be able to bind 5,000 people. If his cultivation reached the meridian opening stage, just by stepping on the shadows of 5,000 people, these 5,000 would essentially be helping him cultivate, and his future entry into the God-refining realm would almost entirely rely on plundering the cultivation of these 5,000 people. This ability is too overbearing. Xiang Beifei couldn't help but think. Aside from not being able to plunder cultivation from someone a whole realm higher than himself, there were no flaws. It was purely about strengthening himself by plundering the cultivation of others. The most bizarre part was, as an SSR system, those bound as his shadow servants, with system levels inevitably lower than his, faced absolute suppression. Not even SR systems could resist, and they wouldn't even realize they were bound. An SSR system, indeed excessively powerful. No wonder the higher the system's level, the quicker the upgrade. Xiang Beifei thought Elder Luo's SR Leisure system was already powerful, but the SSR Shadow Saint system was even more perverse. At present, 1,000 people secretly bound by him were responsible for cultivating, while he just needed to plunder their cultivation and strengthen himself. While Xiang Beifei was looking, a line of data flashed in Ho Chengwu's system. Lu Sa's strength has just improved by 10 points. You've plundered 1 point of his strength. Wang Minggui's speed has just improved by 15 points. You've plundered 2 points of his speed. Zhao Lina's cultivation has just advanced from early Qi controlling to mid Qi controlling. You've plundered 42 points of her cultivation. The current strength diagram of Ho Chengwu is cultivation 2098/6000, late Qi controlling stage. Strength 899. Speed 658. Intelligence 127. This SSR system quantified every capability improvement of his shadow servants, including cultivation, which could also be measured by data. He could also use these system points he plundered to enter lotteries or buy items in the store. In the world of systems, nearly everyone is doing system tasks every day, then strengthening themselves through these system tasks. However, those shadow servants whose system talents aren't like Ho Chengwu's definitely wouldn't expect that while they are getting stronger, their strength is quietly being stolen by the SSR. The amount of cultivation Ho Chengwu could plunder from a person wasn't fixed, but as long as the data reached 6,000 points, he could step into the meridian opening stage. It had only been 2 months, but Ho Chengwu had already plundered 2,000 cultivation points through this powerful SSR system. With this momentum, reaching the meridian opening stage in half a year wasn't out of the question. Xiang Beifei was genuinely surprised by Ho Chengwu's system. However, he had already figured out who these two people were. This Ren Zhonghai must be the teacher from Qingzhou University's admissions office. Last night, the leaders of Liangzhou University had an unpleasant dispute with people from Qingzhou University, but Ren Zhonghai dared to come, claiming it was a farewell visit, but in reality, he planned to provoke Elder Luo one more time with SSR Ho Chengwu before heading back. Elder Luo was likely so angry mainly because of this history with Ren Zhonghai, and now being ridiculed, he had no way to refute it. Elder Luo's face was grim, and he said sternly, "What students Liangzhou University recruits is none of your business. Just manage your own school's students." Of course, our Qingzhou University doesn't recruit N-level students. We only recruit absolute elites, like SSR Awakener Ho Chengwu. Elder Luo glared at Ho Chengwu with a malevolent gaze, greatly disapproving of this SSR Ho Chengwu. Having promised to study at Liangzhou University and having taken all the benefits, and then being snatched away by Qingzhou University, he still had the audacity to appear before himself. Xiang Beifei was indifferent to whether or not Ho Chengwu wanted to study at Liangzhou University. He was merely curious about the SSR system and was observing it. But at this moment, he suddenly noticed a line of text appearing on Ho Chengwu's system interface. A candidate with extraordinary potential for Shadow Servant detected. Xiang Beifei, N-level Awakener, mid-stage Qi controlling. Analysis. The progress of this person's cultivation seems a bit fast. Current analysis is inconclusive. According to rumors on the Liangzhou University forum, he has killed 2 desolate beasts in the late stage of Qi controlling, with a potential rating of 8. The target is merely an N-level system. The host could try to bind him. Ho Cheng-gu had also noticed this, and a hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. Xiang Beifei's feat of killing desolate beasts had also been vaguely heard by people from other schools, but he never expected his SSR system would deem an N-level system awakener to have enormous potential, moreover, a potential of 8 points. Is this a joke? He had stepped on the shadow of an S-level and only judged it to be 7 points, and yet an N-level was given 8 points? Ho Cheng-gu had been awakened to this SSR system for 2 months, and in these 2 months, whenever he encountered a person, his system would analyze their potential. The SSR system is a uniquely powerful system, and most people whose shadows he stepped on had a potential rating of over 5. The highest potential he had stepped on was from an SR system person, rated at 10 points. The higher the potential, the faster the cultivation progress, and the more one could contribute to his strength. This N-level student has such strong potential? Ho Cheng-gu wondered to himself. Based on the descriptions of this student in the Liangzhou University treehole, he can punch an S-level late chi-controlling awakener flying, indicating great potential. Although he is N-level, his potential can be referenced against Liangzhou's top leader, Shang Tianxiong. The analysis will not be wrong. The system resolved Ho Cheng-wu's doubts. Ho Cheng-wu's eyes brightened. The SSR system is extremely precise and powerful. Everyone whose shadow he had stepped on obediently became his shadow servant, surrendering their cultivation to him. He had never failed in plundering the cultivation of his shadow servants. Could the system really be comparing this N-level to someone as high as Shang Tianxiong? Good. Ho Cheng-wu's gaze towards Xiang Beifei switched from disdain to something much more fervent. He trusted his system. If his SSR system thought Xiang Beifei might become the next Shang Tianxiong, then he must make his move on this person. Too bad, maybe you could have become the second Shang Tianxiong, but you are only N-level. With me here, you won't have the chance to become Shang Tianxiong. Hand over your cultivation obediently. Ho Cheng-gu stared at Xiang Beifei and then sneered. Elder Luo and Ren Jianghai, who couldn't see the system mission, didn't know what Ho Cheng-gu was thinking. The two still stood in sharp opposition. Liangzhou University has truly fallen to such lows. It's regrettable. I have nothing more to say. Today, I came to bid farewell on behalf of our SSR Ho Cheng-gu. Ho Cheng-gu, shouldn't you hurry and say goodbye to Professor Luo? After all, he took care of you once. Ren Jianghai said with a smile. Professor Luo, until we meet again. Ho Cheng-gu said to Elder Luo. Elder Luo snorted coldly. Ha ha ha. Ren Jianghai laughed triumphantly and then headed towards the school gate. Ho Cheng-gu followed behind, but as he passed by Xiang Beifei, his foot inadvertently stepped on Xiang Beifei's shadow. Releasing the shadow servant with the lowest potential, Wang Li, potential 4. You are preparing to forcibly bind a new shadow servant. Xiang Beifei, potential 8. Binding successful. You have a new shadow servant. Xiang Beifei, current number of shadow servants. 1,000. The newly bound shadow servant can have its strength forcibly plundered. Current loot value under analysis. Xiang Beifei has provided you with 30 points of strength, 23 points of speed, 1 point of cultivation. Note: if the potential is below 5, unbinding can occur at any time. If potential exceeds 5, unbinding requires stepping on the target's shadow again. Ho Cheng-gu didn't bother to glance at Xiang Beifei. He even stepped on Xiang Beifei's shadow without pausing, an action that occurred in a mere instant and went unnoticed by everyone. But after passing by, he couldn't help but turn back and take another look at Xiang Beifei, who appeared to be naively honest. Each time a new shadow servant is bound, he would steal a portion of their power, euphemistically calling it an entrance fee. He would replace those with lower potential with those of higher potential. Typically, a new shadow servant would only add up to 15 points to his abilities, as he needed to ensure a steady progression. But to his surprise, as soon as he bound Xiang Beifei, he directly looted 30 points of strength and 23 points of speed. As for cultivation, it seemed to be only 1 point, which was a little less, but Ho Cheng-gu didn't care. I understand now. This one named Xiang Beifei must be a body cultivator. His cultivation hasn't added much to me, but his strength and speed will bring me more benefits in the future. Ho Chenggu saw that Xiang Beifei was still obliviously stroking his chin, deep in thought, and smiled with satisfaction in his heart. Get stronger quickly, you naive N-level genius. The stronger you are, the more I gain. Once you've bound me, you can't unbind that easily. Xiang Beifei watched Ho Chenggu, who was smugly self-satisfied, with contemplation. In the latter's SSR system evaluation, his potential was an 8. To unbind, Ho Chenggu would have to find him and step on his shadow again. But how could Xiang Beifei possibly make it easy for him to step on his shadow again? Just now, the other party attempted to loot his speed, strength, and cultivation. Naturally, Xiang Beifei wouldn't let himself be looted. Last time, after catching so many snakes, Xiaohe symbolically converted one of the early-stage qi-controlling beast pills into points for the other party's system to loot, merely as a welcome gift. As for the benefits, Xiang Beifei clenched his fist, and a strange aura swirled between his palms. The other party had looted 1 point of his cultivation. Currently, his cultivation points stood at +1, totaling 2099. That meant this point of cultivation had become a type of system reward. If Xiang Beifei wished, he could completely take all of this fellow's cultivation. He could even control this guy's cultivation. For example, he could take away 100 points and make it 1999, which would demote Ho Chengwu's cultivation to the mid-stage of qi controlling. Or he could loot all 2099 points, leaving the other with no cultivation at all. Not just cultivation but also strength, speed. Tisk. That's quite a profit. Xiang Beifei could only convert the other's cultivation into spiritual power crystals. He couldn't use it to enhance his own cultivation. However, this was enough. Spiritual power crystals were valuable, used to assist in absorbing and improving one's cultivation. If you want to steal someone else's cultivation, be prepared to have yours stolen. Xiang Beifei murmured to himself. Messing with him was a big mistake. The SSR system of this ultimate genius was practically wasted. A mage's power always surpasses that of a demon's. A looter has encountered the ultimate looter. He wasn't worried about the other party discovering anything. After all, Ho Chenggu was from Qingzhou University and didn't attend school here, so they wouldn't normally cross paths. Xiaohe was rolling on Xiang Beifei's shoulder, baring its teeth and laughing loudly. It initially wanted to just take away the other person's cultivation, but Xiang Beifei stopped it. Grabbing the other's property right after being bound would raise suspicions. Keep a low profile. There's no rush. After a while, once Ho Chenggu has nearly forgotten about him, Xiaohe can collect the delivery. Yes, just shear a little wool at a time. One mustn't be too greedy, but aim for a steady supply. That bastard Ren Jianghai. He even made a point of showing off in front of me before he left. Elder Luo was furious. If it hadn't been for the fact that they were still at the school gate where a scuffle would look bad, he might have gone straight up and punched Ren Jianghai. Elder Luo, do you want me to vent for you? I can settle that SSR with 1 punch, Xiang Beifei offered. Elder Luo had been so hospitable in offering him seeds to eat, so Xiang Beifei couldn't just eat them for free. Elder Luo, thinking quickly, said, No, I was just joking with you. They are now in the late stage of qi controlling SSR-level cultivators in the late stage of qi controlling, not something that S-level cultivators like Xiongmeng and Guohan in the late stage of qi controlling can compare with. You can't just pick a fight with them. If you come out worse, it would only serve to confirm the speculations of those people. The gap in strength is significant even among those in the late stage of qi controlling, especially between the S and SSR levels with a difference in talent of many degrees. It's likely that Xiongmeng wouldn't be able to defeat a new SSR-level student. Although Elder Luo verbally expressed a desire for Xiang Beifei to take action, he truly did not want Xiang Beifei to be at a disadvantage. Can't defeat him? Xiang Beifei seriously pondered this question. SSR is indeed a genius. But so what? In his eyes, it's just for fleecing. Especially with an SSR-level talent like this, completing system tasks is extremely simple, finishing one task after another effortlessly. Currently, This Ho Ching-gu dares to bind with him without knowing what's coming. He will fleece so much from this SSR that it will start doubting its own existence. You believe in my potential, right? Xiang Beifei said. But not like this. We aren't strong enough right now. It's okay to suffer some setbacks and be underestimated. We need to keep a low profile, accumulate strength quietly, endure humiliations, and then, with patience and time. The more Luo Laotu spoke towards the end, the deeper his frown became. The more he thought about restraining himself temporarily, the angrier he got. The more he thought about stepping back, the greater the loss seemed. Damn it! I can't take it anymore. Do whatever you want to them. While there's still a chance in the chi controlling stage, if they advance too quickly in their cultivation, opportunities will grow slimmer. Luo Laotu said angrily as he rolled up his sleeves. He was quite optimistic about Xiang Beifei's strength. After analyzing how Xiang Beifei killed the triangular thunderkite, he realized Xiang Beifei could likely defeat almost anyone in the late stages of chi controlling, even though he was only in the mid-stages himself. And SSR Awakeners are only in the late stages of chi controlling. Who knows, they might step into the meridian opening stage soon, and by then Xiang Beifei might not be able to beat them. So, revenge needed to be taken sooner rather than later. All right then. I will definitely take revenge for you. Xiang Beifei nodded. Elder Luo had already made trouble with some of the leaders at Liangzhou University for him. He couldn't just stand by and do nothing. Ho Ching-gu was almost dealt with, and if there was a chance, he would go after Chen Baiwen. Observing that there was no one around, Luo Laotu then quietly asked, "What's your plan for dealing with them? Are you going to hit them?" After a long pause, he added, "I'm not saying you can't hit them. Giving them a beating is fine, but you must run away fast after. Make sure they can't recognize you, otherwise there'll be trouble. Us elders cannot intervene because of our status, and those two universities are now protecting them. They're especially on guard against us." It seemed Luo Laotu wasn't exactly law-abiding in his youth, even teaching how to fight while also reminding to protect oneself. "I won't tell you the plan. Students should handle student matters. You just pretend you don't know anything," Xiang Beifei said. "Haha, lad, that's the spirit. The more I see of you, the more I like you. Ha ha ha." Elder Luo patted Xiang Beifei on the shoulder, acknowledging that the 9 elite schools were still nominally brother schools, and it was inappropriate for teachers to resolve conflicts, but it was different for students. A little scuffle between students was nothing unusual. "If I beat you, it just proves our school students are stronger." After a moment, Elder Luo added, "Actually, you're not in a rush. In half a year, our 9 elite universities will hold an exchange competition for new students. It's ostensibly about exchange, but really, it's to showcase the comprehensive strength of each school's new students. Then you'll see if you get the chance to come across this Ho Ching-gu on stage and give him a good thrashing." The new student exchange competition in half a year? Xiang Beifei thought about it. He could control Ho Ching-gu's cultivation level. If nothing went wrong, Ho Ching-gu should be in the meridian opening stage by then. If he encounters him on stage, manipulating his cultivation level. Interesting. That's settled then. I will definitely train you to reach the late stages of chi controlling in this half a year, Luo Laotu said enthusiastically, rubbing his hands together, full of confidence. Throughout the entire summer break, Xiang Beifei spent almost all his time with Luo Laotu, who even arranged his dormitory for him in advance, allowing him to move into the freshman dormitory directly during the summer. This gave him even more time to cultivate, saving Xiang Beifei the 2-hour commute back and forth every day. Though Luo Laotu spent his days doing exceedingly mundane things, it didn't stop him from being a powerful cultivator. His control and insight into spiritual power were very unique, even providing Xiang Beifei with new understanding into rapid flame. Luo Laotu thought it might take Xiang Beifei up to half a year to reach the late stage of chi controlling, but he still underestimated Xiang Beifei. Under Luo Laotu's guidance, Xiang Beifei's cultivation progressed at incredible speed, and by the end of August, as school was about to start, he finally broke through to the late stage of chi controlling in his dormitory. This was an astounding achievement. Apart from SSR and UR Awakeners, No one else had managed to reach late-stage chi controlling in such a short time. And even for S-rank awakeners, reaching the late stage of chi controlling had taken a full year. Xiang Beifei was also quite pleased, because this meant he could light up the fourth constellation. He had long prepared the spiritual power crystals required to light up the constellations for the late stage of chi controlling. The amulet from Qin Yi, the Qi and blood pill from Yang Hua, the Qi-raising talisman from Yu Lei, and the Hichu tortoiseshell gifted by Principal Li Nanqing. In fact, he didn't really need these items at the moment because he had also killed 2 late-stage chi-controlling triangular thunderkrites and a fire snake. Their beast pills were also suitable for lighting up the constellations. After some thought, he decided to keep Qin Yi's amulet and the Hichu tortoiseshell, given by Principal Li Nanqing for protection, and used the beast pills from the triangular thunderkrites instead. The constellations on the Spirit Gathering book glittered, and he activated the 4th ability for the chi-controlling period. Fong Constellation. Light as a feather, heavy as Mount Tai. Ability description. Control over weight, limited to application on external objects. This ability made Xiang Beifei feel rather magical. Being lighter than a feather or heavier than Mount Tai could apply weight to anything. If one's cultivation was strong enough, even a palm-sized pebble could be made as heavy as a mountain. Of course, the weight one could control was linked to one's own cultivation level. Xiang Beifei tried out this ability and found that he could currently control a weight of around 100 pounds. In other words, he could make a feather weigh 100 pounds, or make something weighing 100 pounds as light as a feather. With higher cultivation, the controllable weight would be even greater. Being able to control weight is a great thing. Xiang Beifei didn't disdain any ability. Of course, all these abilities were just supplementary to him. If he wanted to become stronger, he still needed to rely on his own cultivation. There were only a few days left before school started, and Xiang Beifei was pondering that he should also start preparing for school. But at this moment, he received a call from Lu Jiwei. "Hello, Beifei. Are you up for making 20,000? "I am." Xiang Beifei stretched lazily. Although with Elder Luo around, tuition fees and such were not a big problem, money was something no one would ever find excessive. Quick to respond. "I'm below your dorm building. Come down," Lu Jiwei said on the phone. "Early," Xiang Beifei replied. Lu Jiwei was dressed in a light yellow short-sleeved shirt today, paired with casual pants, and her hair was tied into a ponytail, clean and fresh. She was riding a red motorcycle, its body shining bright like flames. Quite stylish indeed. "Let's not dawdle, we have a person to catch," Lu Jiwei said seriously. "Who are we catching?" Xiang Beifei asked, curious. "A crafty guy, ranging within our jurisdiction." Lu Jiwei clenched her fist, then looked at Xiang Beifei. "You're free today, right? I haven't come to bother you these past few days." "I'm free. What's his strength?" Xiang Beifei needed to consider the gap between enemy and ally before deciding whether to take the risk. Making money was important, but the prerequisite was to stay alive. Otherwise, running into someone with the power of Lai Wuying and without Lu Hong as backup, just the two of them going in would be akin to seeking death. They say he's at the late stage of chi controlling. He showed up in the southern jurisdiction last month, and though he got away, the law enforcers from there sent word that he's at the late stage of chi controlling, Lu Jiwei informed. A late stage chi controlling managed to escape? The criminals on the wanted list are no simple matter. Otherwise, why would they be on the list? They all have very tricky systems, and when facing law enforcers in the Meridian opening phase, even if they can't win, they can still run, she explained. Lu Jiwei rubbed her hands together eagerly and looked at Xiang Beifei with anticipation. "But we have you!" Xiang Beifei felt quite the headache. They really took him for a master detective. After thinking a bit, he asked, "This one has a 10,000 reward, right?" "All you think about is money," she chided. "No money, no deal," Xiang Beifei declared. Lu Jiwei pouted and said, "Of course, it's there. Ordinary citizens who help capture criminals always get a reward. This criminal is ranked 79th on the wanted list, weaker than Lai Wuying, but still worth a bounty of 20,000. "Deal." Xiang Beifei nodded slightly, then asked, "What are the specifics?" Lu Jiwei took out some documents and handed them to Xiang Beifei. Early this morning, someone reported a car accident on the highway. A cruise ship hit a sedan. A cruise ship hit a sedan on the highway? Xiang Beifei raised an eyebrow. That's quite the thrill, isn't it? Yes, according to eyewitnesses, they saw a cruise ship traveling along the road, and then it suddenly crashed into the lead car, sending it spinning in the air several times and turning into a heap of scrap metal. Lu Jiwei elaborated. And then, the people in the car vanished, and after the cruise ship hit the sedan, it disappeared too. My dad is still at the crime scene investigating. What we can preliminarily confirm is that this guy is the highway cruise ship killer, a fugitive on the wanted list. But there's no other progress beyond that, so I snuck off to find you. Lu Jiwei handed Xiang Beifei a piece of information with an introduction to the highway cruise ship killer. That's a really strange name. Xiang Beifei looked over the information about the highway cruise ship killer. This guy didn't have a real face, but there were photos of the cruise ship. It was a white cruise ship, its white paint peeling off, looking like it had seen better days, with no identification on it, just an ordinary old cruise ship. In the photo, the cruise ship was captured traveling on the highway, looking particularly eerie. Here's some surveillance footage from past incidents pretty similar to this one, but we just can't capture who this person is. Lu Jiwei passed her phone to Xiang Beifei and tapped on the video screen. Although it was night, the video was fairly clear because the surveillance was created with high-tech systems, so it was still very clear and even had sound. In the video, several sedans drove along the highway looking normal, but at this moment, the car in front suddenly honked loudly, even starting to slow down and hitting the brakes as if to make way for something. A cruise ship came into view at the end of the highway. The appearance of the cruise ship into the camera's frame was sudden, completely dark with no lights, speeding along the highway like a ghostly shadow. Next, the light in the video frame suddenly dimmed, as though something interfered with the filming. The light around the cruise ship seemed to be absorbed by it. Then it quickly crashed into one of the red sedans, cutting the vehicle in half. The strangest part was that the red sedan wasn't at the front. It had other cars in front of it. However, the highway cruise ship moved like a ghost, nimbly dodging through a row of cars, like an experienced driver on the highway, avoiding the other vehicles before hitting that one sedan in the stream of cars. It seems to have a specific target. Who was sitting in that sedan? Xiang Beifei asked, pointing to the video. Its targets are always couples, Lu Jiwei said. Couples? Yes, we can't find the people, so we can only deduce from missing persons cases. Every time the sedan that was hit happened to have a couple in it. Lu Jiwei said, that's why this guy is also called the highway couples killer by us. Xiang Beifei nodded thoughtfully. Turns out being single has its benefits. Lu Jiwei's eyes widened. Hey, is that the point? Xiang Beifei calmly asked. Have none of the victims been found? Lu Jiwei shook her head. All the cases are very strange. Every time a cruise ship hits a car on the highway, there are no bloodstains left inside. It's like the car was empty, as if the people inside vanished the moment they were hit. Could there really be such a bizarre thing? Xiang Beifei was deep in thought, considering which systems could achieve this. But so far, he hadn't encountered many powerful systems. The ones that had left the deepest impression on him were probably Thousand Faces Refined and the Reclamation System. It was hard to determine without checking the crime scene. Let's go have a look, Xiang Beifei said. Let's go. Lu Jiwei tossed a helmet to Xiang Beifei and donned one herself. With a confident flick of her hair, she motioned for Xiang Beifei to hop on. I always feel like it's never good news when I run into you, Xiang Beifei muttered, sitting behind Lu Jiwei. Hold on to me tight. We're going to act like a sweet little couple. Maybe then that cruise ship will come hit us. Lu Jiwei said nonchalantly. Xiang Beifei. Lu Jiwei was very bold. As a talented student from Liangzhou University, an S-rank awakener, and with the super police system, she was extremely skilled in every aspect except reasoning. But she knew Xiang Beifei was even more powerful. After all, he had once killed a triangular thunderkite in a single strike, so she had great confidence in Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei didn't say much. As he sat behind Lu Jiwei, He hesitated and stretched out his hand, gesturing, pondering where to place it respectfully. But Lu Jiwei had already floored the accelerator, speeding off. The huge inertia almost threw Xiang Beifei off, and he instinctively hugged Lu Jiwei's waist tight. Quite slender, indeed. First time on a motorcycle? Why so tense? Lu Jiwei laughed loudly. Do you take people out every day? Xiang Beifei asked. Not really, but I did give a ride to a few dummies who forgot their admission tickets recently. They wanted to hug me, but I kicked them out. Did they think they could just hug me? It was good enough that I used my spiritual power to drag them along. Lu Jiwei hummed and hawed. Xiang Beifei. He wondered if he was considered to be hugging her now. Lu Jiwei didn't seem to care how Xiang Beifei placed his hands. She rode very fast, her hair fluttering wildly in front of her eyes. 2 months ago, she had short hair, but now she had suddenly grown it long, and it fluttered so much that Xiang Beifei's helmet made a clattering sound. He tried using abruptly stop, and the fluttering hair immediately fixed itself in midair. This ability was quite useful. Lu Jiwei seemed unaware as she turned the motorcycle towards the highway outside the city. Soon, the urban area was far behind them, and they sped along the highway with fewer and fewer cars in sight. About half an hour later, they arrived at yesterday's crime scene, where the road had already been cordoned off with police tape. Law enforcement officers were examining the scene. On the road, a sedan had been smashed into a heap of scrap metal, charred black and slightly smoking, with pieces of its bumper scattered all around, a gruesome sight. Drones flew back and forth above, and dense woods bordered the highway on both sides. The drones navigated through the trees, searching extensively across the area. Brother Ma, any progress? Lu Jiwei parked the motorcycle on the side of the road, took off her helmet, and asked Ma Feiguang, who was nearby. Xiao Wei, you're here. Ma Feiguang was maintaining the order of the passing vehicles. His gaze soon fell on Xiang Beifei, and his eyes brightened instantly. Ah, the Silhouette Detective is also here. Silhouette Detective, how do you plan to solve the case this time? Xiao Chao also ran over from a distance, looking at Xiang Beifei with anticipation. What a strange name. Xiang Beifei wasn't quite used to this title yet and asked, by the way, where's Uncle Lu? He and some others are searching in the woods. Ma Feiguang pointed toward the woods on the left, then turned to Xiang Beifei. It's okay. You can start by looking at the accident scene. Normally, such a crime scene would not allow bystanders, but Ma Feiguang obviously didn't consider Xiang Beifei an outsider. Having such a talented young man to assist in solving the case was extremely efficient. Xiang Beifei crossed the police line and approached the wrecked sedan. Other law enforcement officers also quickly gathered around, ready to observe how the Silhouette Detective would showcase his skills. Last time, Xiang Beifei had merely glanced a few times before closing the case, astonishing everyone and leaving them reminiscing to this day. Now, their expectations for Xiang Beifei were very high. Xiang Beifei didn't pay attention to these officers. His gaze lingered on the sedan for a moment. Since advancing to the later stages of chi controlling, his perception had become much stronger. Lately, he had also been learning about spiritual power with Elder Luo, and he could sense any anomaly created by the system. The sedan in front of him had been split from the front like a sharp incision had cut the car in half, similar to the scene displayed in the video. Woof woof! Xiao He jumped onto the scrap metal from his shoulder, gesticulating wildly with his paws. Is there something unusual about the space around here? Xiang Beifei stood up and looked around. He could faintly sense something rippling nearby, overlapping with the visible scene, very vague. It was a fluctuation formed by the system. Apparently, someone had used the system to mask this area. Have you not noticed some strange fluctuations around here? Xiang Beifei asked. Ma Feiguang and Xiao Chao looked at each other and shook their heads slightly, but Xiao Chao said, Captain Lu also mentioned a strange fluctuation earlier. He felt it. Lu Hong was an S-level investigation system with very strong perception abilities. Lu Jiwei was taking notes rapidly on the side, recording every move Xiang Beifei made. Then she looked up seriously. I felt it too. Although Lu Jiwei's deductive abilities were somewhat poor, she was part of the super police system and also had strong perception abilities. Ma Feiguang and Xiao Chao's systems weren't investigative, so their perceptual abilities weren't as strong as those of Xiang Beifei and Lu Jiwei. What are you all doing standing around here? Don't you have your own work to do? Lu Hong emerged from the woods, saw everyone gathered, and immediately shouted, Captain Lu, we were just learning how the silhouette detective solves cases. Last time, he pinpointed the perpetrator with just one look. Xiao Chao explained sheepishly. Last time was last time. Do you think the guy who hit someone would still be around this time? Don't crowd around here. Go to your work, Lu Hong said sternly. Ma Feiguang and the others could only disperse grudgingly and attend to their own tasks. Although Lu Hong had a stern face, seeing his daughter bring Xiang Beifei here, he soon revealed a smile. Beifei, I heard you were admitted to Liangzhou University. Xiao Wei mentioned it to me, and I haven't had the chance to congratulate you yet. Congratulations to Uncle Lu as well, Xiang Beifei said. Haha. You noticed that? Lu Hong laughed and was quite grateful to Xiang Beifei. His feedback on the last case of Rapid Flame had earned him an advanced pill, and now his abilities had reached the middle stage of Meridian Opening. After a while, he sized up Xiang Beifei again. Impressive. I feel like I can see through you even less these days. Lu Jiwei said. He's been studying these last few days with an old security guard from our school. That security guard seems very powerful. Last time, for Beifei's sake, he even dared to scold Yu Qixin. I had no idea before. Xiang Beifei indeed knew a bit. Elder Luo was once a professor at Liangzhou University. Later, when he lost interest in teaching, he just hung on to the title. In recent years, he became so idle he took on a job as a security guard, spending his days counting students at the school gate. Most students didn't recognize the old man or take him seriously. The old security guard? Who is that? Lu Hong asked, looking at Xiang Beifei. His surname is Luo, probably used to be a teacher, Xiang Beifei said. Surname Luo? Luo Yunxian, Professor Luo. Lu Hong exclaimed in surprise. Lu Jiwei asked doubtfully, Dad, do you know that security guard? More than 10 years ago, when I was studying at Liangzhou University, he was still a professor. He was straightforward but extremely powerful. At that time, among the 9 universities, he had a fierce reputation. Once, on a field practice in the desolate wilderness, I saw him spit out a sunflower seed shell and obliterate a desolate beast that was equivalent to the early stage of God refining. To this day, it seems no one knows his true cultivation level, Lu Hong said with an air of admiration. When Lu Hong spoke of Elder Luo, he was clearly amazed. Elder Luo's cultivation level was definitely high, but how high it actually was, even Xiang Beifei didn't know. Although he could see Elder Luo's system value, Elder Luo's system was quite special. Normally he would add skill points randomly out of boredom, and whenever he wanted to show his true power, he'd respec, and the system interface would become invisible. To this day, Xiang Beifei still had no way to estimate Elder Luo's true cultivation level based on his system value. Then why did he become a security guard? Lu Jiwei asked, puzzled. In her view, an SR-level awakener should be the star wherever they go. If he went to serve in the Juzhou Alliance, countless people should be vying for him. I think it's probably because of that incident a few years ago, Lu Hong said. After some thought, Lu Hong added, I remember it was 6 years ago. There was a large-scale beast tide that broke out. Desolate beasts attacked our alliance's borders. I heard that the Juzhou Alliance asked him to command the battle, but in the process, a very powerful SSR died. An SSR died? Lu Jiwei inhaled sharply. What was his cultivation level? How could he be killed by a desolate beast? 6 years ago, when the beast tide from the wilderness attacked the borders of Juzhou territory, they were too young. When the air raid alarm sounded, all martial artists went to battle, and those who were old, weak, or young were taken underground to take shelter just in case. I don't know the specifics, but I heard from a friend serving in the Juzhou Alliance that the SSR didn't die at the hands of a desolate beast, but was executed by him according to military law. Apparently, the SSR was very arrogant, did not obey his orders as an SR, was insubordinate, and acted unilaterally, leading to a breach in the borders. When the beast tide poured in, hundreds of defenders died, including SR and S-grade martial artists. In his wrath, he killed that SSR on the spot. Lu Jiwei's eyes widened. SSRs are very rare awakeners. The entire Juzhou typically wouldn't see more than 10 SSR awakenings in a year. Each SSR is extremely powerful, and just like that, he killed one. Yes, I heard at the time that many high-ranking officials of the Juzhou Alliance tried to stop him, wanting to plead for the SSR. After all, he was a top talent with extraordinary potential, hoping he would show leniency. But Professor Luo showed no mercy and killed the SSR in one strike. However, it also stirred up a lot of trouble, as many in the Juzhou Alliance had grievances against him. But he couldn't be blamed because stopping the beast tide was credited to him, so they couldn't do much about him. But since then, it seemed he was ostracized by the Juzhou Alliance, and after that, I hadn't heard any news about him, only to find out now that he had returned to the university to work as a security guard. Sigh. Lu Hong expressed with a sigh. During the beast tide invasion on the Alliance borders that year, he was also part of the defenders and participated in the defense. However, he was guarding another side of the battlefield and had not seen Elder Luo face to face. But he greatly admired someone like Elder Luo. On the battlefield, those who don't follow the rules should be executed on the spot, no matter if they're SR or SSR. Elder Luo always had a straightforward temper. Xiang Beifei wasn't surprised he would execute an insubordinate SSR. Suddenly, Ho Chengguo and Chen Baiwen came to his mind. These two new SSRs of this year thought highly of their talents, were dishonest, accepted the school scholarship, agreed to attend Liangzhou University, then turned tail at the last minute. No wonder Elder Luo was so angry. It's also fortunate that this was about schooling, not battlefield conduct. Elder Luo just got angry for a while and couldn't be bothered with them. Otherwise, these two ignorant SSRs wouldn't even know how they died. Anyway, we don't understand the world of the powerful ones. He must have chosen to retire afterward, contributing his remaining energy by helping to guard the school. I didn't even know he became a security guard, Lu Hong said with another sigh, then turned to Xiang Beifei. You should learn well from him, and Xiao Wei. When you encounter him in the future, you also need to be more polite, and never judge a book by its cover. Oh, I understand. Lu Jiwei nodded, then looked seriously at Xiang Beifei. What is it? Xiang Beifei felt uncomfortable being stared at. My dad said not to judge a book by its cover. So, I already judged you by your cover in the past, Lu Jiwei said earnestly. Now I'm thinking about how to really get you. Before Xiang Beifei had killed a triangular thunder kite with a single dagger, she had no idea how strong Xiang Beifei was. Even now, she didn't know how strong he really was. Oh, Xiang Beifei found her words a bit odd. So he said, let's focus on solving the case at hand first. Uncle Lu, have you found any clues after searching this area? We still can't be sure. This area is covered by something very strange, and I haven't found the source yet. Lu Hong shook his head. I used the ravens to search the entire area, and I even scanned it, but I didn't see anything abnormal. I can't even determine where exactly that cruise ship came from. What about the information on the two missing people? Still looking. The car was hit so badly and it caught fire, everything got burned, including the license plate, which is hard to recognize now. Xiao Chao is using technical means to restore it. He's good at this kind of thing and should have some results soon. Once he confirms it, we'll be able to find out who the missing persons are, Lu Hong explained. Xiang Beifei nodded thoughtfully, but at this moment, Xiaohe barked twice, pointing in the direction of the woods, and then dashed into the thicket. Let's go have a look over there. Xiang Beifei stepped over the police line, chasing after Xiaohe. Lu Hong and Lu Jiwei exchanged glances and hastily followed. The woods had no clear path. The ground was covered with thorny shrubs and weeds. The trees were tall and dense, intertwining with one another, greatly obstructing the view. Xiaohe swiftly darted through the forest. If it weren't for Xiang Beifei's connection with it, he would have likely lost track of it. Xiaohei didn't run far, just for a short while. Then it stopped on a rock by a white birch tree. At that moment, a rapid breathing sound suddenly came from ahead, as if someone was running at high speed. Whoosh! A figure darted out of the woods toward Xiang Beifei. "Someone's here," Xiang Beifei whispered sharply. "Where?" Lu Hong and Lu Jiwei instantly became alert, searching around for the figure. Xiang Beifei climbed up a small slope, and soon he saw what was happening ahead. What appeared before him was a woman in her 20s running through the woods, but what surprised him was that her figure was flickering in and out of visibility. Moreover, she seemed to ignore the trees, passing directly through the trunks as though she were a ghost. Xiang Beifei saw the woman's system interface. Host, Hiyun. N-level, fashion design system. Realm, early chi controlling. Save me. The woman named Hiyun seemed to have also seen Xiang Beifei. She cried out frantically to him. Xiang Beifei frowned slightly, looking down at Hiyun's feet. Somehow, she was stepping on thin air, but clearly struggling to climb upwards, her hands tightly grasping at nothing as if she was clinging to an invisible rock. Upon seeing Xiang Beifei, she suddenly burst into tears of joy. Save me. There's a desolate beast. It's chasing me. Hiyun looked back in panic, scrambling a couple of steps upward, but seemed unable to get a firm grip. She screamed miserably and slid down. Hiyun's figure fell from the air to the ground and instantly disappeared. Uncle Lu, that woman. Xiang Beifei turned and spoke. But when he turned back, he found no one there. Xiang Beifei was slightly taken aback. Where were Lu Hong and his daughter? Haunted. Just a few seconds ago, Lu Hong and Lu Jiwei were clearly right behind him. How could they have suddenly disappeared? Xiang Beifei frowned. Honestly, ever since he entered this forest, he had felt that the atmosphere around him was a bit eerie. The system fluctuations were very strong, as if something was enveloping the area, rendering the forest surreal. Xiaohei swooshed onto Xiang Beifei's shoulder and clung tightly to his neck. Xiaohei, what's going on? Where are Uncle Lu and Lu Jiwei? Xiang Beifei inquired. Xiaohei shook his head, seemingly also confused. Xiang Beifei's attention had been drawn away by a woman named Hiyun just now, neglecting what was behind him, but Lu Hong and Lu Jiwei were supposed to be just 5 steps behind him. So how could they just vanish? He turned around and looked at the slope behind him. He had been at the base of the slope because he'd heard a noise and climbed up. At that time, Uncle Lu and the others were still beside him. But when he got to the top, he saw the ghostly figure of the woman, who called out to him for help. He alerted Uncle Lu, and Uncle Lu had responded. In less than 10 seconds from the woman appearing to her disappearing, how could they disappear in such a short span? Xiang Beifei leaped down the slope, watching his surroundings warily, then whispered, "Uncle Lu!" No one answered. Lu Jiwei. Still no response. It was as if the two of them had vanished into thin air. The forest was eerily silent, only the rustling of leaves in the wind. But soon, amidst these rustling noises, Xiang Beifei thought he heard something strange. The sound was like the waves crashing against the rocks. Why would there be the sound of waves? Xiang Beifei found it odd. This place was a forest, with the nearest coastline being hundreds of kilometers away. There couldn't possibly be waves nearby. Xiaohei, what were you chasing to get here? Xiang Beifei asked. Woof woof. And the scent. Woof woof. It disappeared? After contemplating for a moment, Xiang Beifei decided that something peculiar was going on in this area. He resolved to return to the road to see if he could find Xiao Chao and Ma Feiguang to help search together. He retraced the route they had originally taken, moving through the thorns to head back. However, after a few steps, he increasingly felt that something was amiss. For some reason, the light between the trees would occasionally appear distorted, becoming very strange. With no one around, it seemed like something was watching him from the dark. He seemed to understand something. Xiang Beifei, where are you? At that moment, Xiang Beifei suddenly heard Lu Jiwei's voice coming from the trees to his right. He perked up immediately and turned toward the source of the sound. Running. The ground in the forest was uneven. He ran forward for a while and soon saw Lu Jiwei. "Where did you go just now?" Xiang Beifei approached Lu Jiwei. "I should ask you the same. You suddenly disappeared." Lu Jiwei was standing on a branch 2 meters high, and then reached out a hand, saying, "Hurry! Come up! What are you doing running down in the ditch?" "What running in the ditch?" Xiang Beifei felt puzzled. He looked around, and clearly, it was an open field. How could it be a ditch? "You come down, standing on a tree and—" Xiang Beifei hadn't finished speaking when he suddenly realized something and looked at Lu Jiwei's feet in astonishment. Lu Jiwei was not standing on the branch. Her feet were clearly a distance away from the branch. She was suspended in midair. "What are you dazed for? Is it fun being stuck in the mud?" Lu Jiwei waved her hand, beckoning Xiang Beifei to hurry up. Xiang Beifei felt increasingly uneasy. He hesitated for a moment but still reached out to grab Lu Jiwei's hand. However, their hands passed through each other in midair. Xiang Beifei's hand grasped nothing. It was as if Lu Jiwei was just a shadow, impossible to hold. "This!" Lu Jiwei also paused, stunned. She tried to grab Xiang Beifei's hand again, but their hands crossed paths again in the air. "What's happening? What ability did you use?" Lu Jiwei asked in astonishment. "It's not me. There's something strange here," Xiang Beifei said gravely. Lu Jiwei squatted down, looking at Xiang Beifei puzzledly. She tried several times to grab his hand but failed, and her face gradually turned uneasy. "What's wrong? Behind you! Watch out!" Lu Jiwei yelled. Chapter Explore. Xiang Beifei swiftly turned around. Breath soil had already transformed into a dagger in his hand, and a flame arose on his arm. However, there was nothing behind him. Lu Jiwei shouted from above, "Run! What are you dazed for? The desolate beast is coming at you." "I can't see any desolate beast," Xiang Beifei said sternly. This wasn't the outer wilderness. Normally, the chances of a desolate beast appearing weren't very high. Last time, a person named Su Yang had attacked him with a mutated stray dog, but that was no desolate beast. "It's roaring at you. Wait. I'll jump down and join you," Lu Jiwei said. Xiang Beifei thought of something and yelled, "Wait! Don't jump!" But it was already a step too late. Lu Jiwei had jumped from the tree. Her figure hit the ground and then disappeared straight into the earth. Just like that woman named Hiyun. Lu Jiwei. Xiang Beifei ran forward a few steps and knocked on the ground where Lu Jiwei had just disappeared. But the ground was only a muddy patch of grass, very moist. Lu Jiwei had landed there, but no footprints were left. Using the tree trunks as a slight leverage, he channeled spiritual power into his feet and flipped onto the branch where Lu Jiwei had just been standing, then looked down. But he saw nothing. Lu Jiwei seemed to have fallen to the ground, and then disappeared. "What in the world is this thing?" Xiang Beifei jumped back down to the ground. However, he landed steadily on the ground, not sinking into the earth like Lu Jiwei. Xiang Beifei crouched down and dug through the dirt with breath soil, creating a small hole, hoping to find something in the soil. But other than some dried leaves and grass roots, there were only some pebbles and dirt. Still, he saw nothing out of the ordinary. He calmed down and began to think about the current situation, analyzing all the clues he had gathered in detail. A ship suddenly appeared on the highway and collided with a sedan. Xiaohe sensed something strange here, and then they tracked it to this place, where they saw a woman named Hiyun being chased by a desolate beast. But she was stepping on air, seemingly trying to climb upward, yet she didn't get very high before falling down. And like before, she fell into the ground and disappeared. Soon after, Uncle Lu and Lu Jiwei both vanished as if some ability had separated them. Then he heard the sound of waves, and then Lu Jiwei's voice calling for him. After finding Lu Jiwei, the same situation occurred again. Did Lu Jiwei also jump into the ground and disappear? Xiang Beifei was certain that this area must have been affected by some kind of system ability. In other words, the person who attacked that car last night must still be lingering nearby. but even Uncle Lou's raven couldn't detect his presence. What kind of system is that? Is it a kind of system that involves space overlap? Of all the space-related systems he had encountered, the one that left the deepest impression on him was the reclamation system, which could even reclaim a space from something as small as a piece of chewing gum. Clearly, this place was also covered with a layer of special system space. But Uncle Lou's raven failed to work and couldn't detect any anomalies. To block the raven, the system level had to be at least the same as Uncle Lou's, or perhaps an SR level that could shield against Uncle Lou's S level. But he distinctly remembered Lu Jiwei mentioning that another jurisdiction's law enforcement officer said that this guy was only in the later stages of chi controlling. How could a system awakened in the later stages of chi controlling possibly elude the raven's detection? Specifically targeting couples, could it really have mistaken me and Lu Jiwei for a couple? Xiang Beifei stroked his chin, analyzing the current situation. If the criminal truly was just in the later stages of chi controlling, then he should be manageable. However, even if he could win in a direct fight, he first had to find the person. But the other party was obviously very cunning. Being on the wanted list and not even caught by Meridian opening-level law enforcement officers indicated that he usually relied on his system to create spaces for hiding himself. This meant that he wouldn't show himself unless absolutely necessary. Xiang Beifei suddenly thought of something and turned to ask, "Xiaohei, did you just stop someone from applying their system ability on me?" "Woof woof." Xiaohei nodded. "So that's how it is." Xiang Beifei understood. No wonder, when he saw Lu Jiwei and that woman named Hiyun, he always felt as if they were not in the same world as him. Xiaohei served as a powerful defense, blocking any system abilities that tried to target Xiang Beifei from the shadows. Just now, that person must have tried to quietly pull Xiang Beifei into a space created by his system, but Xiaohei blocked it, and Lu Jiwei, who wasn't protected, got pulled in. What about Uncle Lu? Xiang Beifei pondered. Could it be that this guy's space could overlap multiple layers, separating all three of them? "Xiaohei, do you have a way to take me into that space?" Xiang Beifei asked. Xiaohei nodded, barked twice, and then removed the defense around Xiang Beifei. Because that space had been pulling at Xiang Beifei, wanting to take him inside, but Xiaohei was blocking it. However, as soon as Xiaohei let go, Xiang Beifei immediately felt a sudden change in the scenery before him. Whoosh! The sky, which had been clear a moment ago, was now shrouded in dark clouds. He seemed to still be standing in a forest, but the arrangement and types of trees around him were different. The sound of waves crashing against rocks became clearer and clearer. He ran toward the sound of the waves, and after about 100 meters, he found himself on the edge of a cliff overlooking a vast and boundless sea. The sea surged with rolling waves, creating layers upon layers that crashed against the stones at the base of the cliff, setting off a thunderous roar. Is this the space that Guy's system created? Xiang Beifei looked around. He felt as though he was on an island, which specific island he was unsure of, with no landmarks to guide him, but it seemed to be a deserted, uninhabited isle. This was his first time being dragged into someone else's system space. There were many types of system spaces, such as those of novels and movies. For hosts who traveled into novels and movies to complete quests and receive rewards, those worlds were merely simulations by the system and did not truly exist. After completing a task in the system space, the host would return to reality. So was this highway killer specifically bringing couples into his own system space to have them complete tasks for him? Xiang Beifei couldn't be sure. If there was a task to be completed, that would be fine, but he must first know exactly what the task was and how to help the other party complete it. Then, after completion, he could harvest a wave of system rewards from the other party. Unfortunately, he had not yet seen the highway killer's system interface, so he couldn't confirm anything. It would be much more convenient if he could just see the other party. Xiang Beifei looked out at the turbulent sea. The sea seemed to have been cut off. It was certain that traversing the sea would be impossible, so he decided to turn back. He re-entered the forest and started exploring. He needed to find Lu Jiwei or any person he could see. Of course, most importantly, he had to find out which system the host that created this space was using. The forest was very dim, and he was alone, with no clear paths on the ground. However, fortunately, he had acquired the ability to control his weight and could make his body lighter. Covering the soles of his feet with spiritual power, he leaped lightly, controlling the spiritual power to land on a tree branch. Then, with a slight bend of his knees, he sprang forward, moving swiftly through the trees. This way of moving was very agile, like executing qigong. As long as he controlled the spiritual power properly, he could move through the crisscrossing branches without obstacle. After about 10 minutes of moving through the forest, Xiaohe suddenly tugged on his ear and pointed in a certain direction. Xiang Beifei tapped his toes on the trunk of a tree and quickly turned, sprinting in the direction Xiaohe had indicated. Soon, he saw a figure in the underbrush below, seemingly collapsed on the ground. Chapter Find. Xiang Beifei landed cautiously on the ground, staring at the man lying there. Having recently learned to use spiritual power from Elder Luo, he attempted to probe the man with it. He's still alive. Xiang Beifei approached the man cautiously. The man was wearing a plaid shirt, was pale, had some scratches on his body that seemed to have been made by branches, and some of the wounds had turned white. He saw the man's system interface. Host, Lu Gui. R-level, marketing genius system. Realm, mid-phase of qi controlling. Xiang Beifei browsed through the man's system tasks, but unfortunately, the man's system log mostly consisted of marketing matters. The man seemed to be the marketing director of a clothing company. His task log contained no records about why he appeared in this forest, although there was a task. With the help of He-Yun, secure the agency rights of the 8 Wolves, brand for the 2 stores on West Street. Reward, 10,000 yuan. He-Yun? Isn't that the woman I just saw? Xiang Beifei remembered the woman who had asked him for help when he first came to this forest. Her system interface displayed her name as He-Yun. So it looked like the car that had been wrecked on the highway by the cruise ship early this morning belonged to the 2 of them? Xiang Beifei checked Lu Gui's injuries. Lu Gui had a bruised forehead, and there were scratch marks on the tree beside him as if he had fallen from its branches and been knocked unconscious. Lu Gui's system was not the martial arts system. His system tasks and rewards were all business-related. He seemed clumsy, having been rendered a complete muggle after jumping from a height of 5 meters. Xiang Beifei had not learned any relevant healing techniques yet, but Elder Luo had taught him how to use spiritual power. Xiang Beifei's spiritual power transformed into an invisible wave, absorbed into Lu Gui's mind. Lu Gui's body trembled as if electrified, and he woke up with a start, then sat up, looking at Xiang Beifei with a face full of terror. "Who are you?" Lu Gui asked cautiously. Xiang Beifei did not respond directly, but instead asked, "Were you hit by a cruise ship last night?" Yes. We were driving home last night when a cruise ship suddenly appeared on the highway and hit our car. We woke up, and we were here." At this point, Lu Gui looked at Xiang Beifei with uncertain suspicion. "Were you also captured by him?" "Him?" Xiang Beifei frowned. "Who is he?" Lu Gui, rubbing his shoulder, shook his head. "I don't know who he is. I've been looking for Xiao-Yun since I woke up, and then I encountered a desolate beast. I don't know what this desolate beast is called. It looks like a tiger. Kept chasing me, so I climbed up a tree. Then I heard a man's voice in my mind, saying that I had to find Xiao-Yun if I wanted to survive." Lu Gui paused here, hesitated, and did not finish. He lifted his head and asked urgently, "Have you seen Xiao-Yun?" A girl in a white short-sleeved shirt, about 25 or 26 years old. "I have seen her, but we got separated," Xiang Beifei said. "Did you come here alone?" "I'm with another girl. She's my girlfriend." Xiang Beifei remembered Lu Jiwei mentioning pretending to be a couple and decided to go along with the act. Lu Gui seemed to realize something and whispered, "So your situation is the same as ours. Have you heard the voice of that man?" Xiang Beifei gazed at Lu Gui, pondering something, then said after a long while, "No." Lu Gui got up, his eyes panicked, and he said, "This place doesn't seem very safe. We must find them quickly. Do you have the ability to search for others?" "No, but she does. I hope she can find me, Xiang Beifei said. Lu Jiwei's awakened super police system and Lu Hong's investigation system were of the same type. Although she seldom used her system abilities, Xiang Beifei knew her system inside out. If he wasn't wrong, Lu Jiwei should be using her system abilities to search this forest right now. Are you a martial artist? Lu Guei inquired. Yes. I'm a literary Taoist, not good at wilderness survival. You look so young. Are you still in university? Chapter Find. Yeah. Is your girlfriend a martial artist as well? Let's find the others first, then talk, Xiang Beifei said. Oh, okay. Lu Guei faltered, his gaze anxiously drifting to the depths of the forest as if worried about something. Then he glanced at Xiang Beifei and dropped the conversation. But before they had taken 2 steps, a tiger's roar suddenly erupted from the forest. The roar was so deep and powerful that it made the leaves rustle. The color drained from Lu Gui's face as he said, "The ice tiger is coming again." As soon as he finished speaking, a shadow unexpectedly appeared above them, and sharp claws glistening with cold light lunged at them. Lu Gui let out a terrified yelp and dove to the side. Xiang Beifei's gaze sharpened. Without a look, he dodged to the side and, turning around, his fist lit up with flames as he threw a punch. Bang! His fist directly sent the ambushing desolate beast flying. The ambusher, a desolate beast, crashed against a distant tree, snapping one as thick as a bowl. It was an ice tiger covered in frost, sharp ice ridges all over its body. After being punched away by Xiang Beifei, it quickly stood up, staring fixedly at him. Xiang Beifei didn't know the academic name of this ice tiger. Previously, during the entrance examination, he suffered from not recognizing the Three Souls desolate snake and thought about cramming the names and types of desolate beasts, but these past few days he had been busy practicing with Elder Luo and had put it off. However, not knowing the academic name of a desolate beast wasn't important. He didn't know the names of those snakes either, but still he was able to analyze them thoroughly. The name isn't important. What matters is how to kill them. This ice tiger had the strength of a later-stage chi-controlling martial artist. And it wasn't a desolate beast created by the system but a real one, seemingly captured from the outer wilderness domain and tamed. Roar! The ice tiger, angry at being punched away in one encounter, vigorously roared. From its mouth, it expelled a chilling gust of wind which drifted in the air, transforming into a rapidly spinning tornado that swept through. Xiang Beifei did not hesitate and stretched out his fist to scatter the tornado once again. However, the dispersed tornado turned into ice shavings, which scattered in the air. Then, all of a sudden, the ice shavings abruptly swelled, transforming into numerous sharp ice blades surrounding Xiang Beifei from all directions. Swish! 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 The countless ice blades charged fiercely at Xiang Beifei, cutting off all possible escape routes. Yet Xiang Beifei wasn't panicked. Spiritual power surged around him, instantly igniting into flame gales that encircled him. Whoosh! 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 Sharp icicles pierced against his flame gale, all of which he blocked and even melted into vapor. With a push of his body, he shot towards the ice tiger amidst a sky filled with icicles. Boom! Xiang Beifei's fist smashed into the ice tiger's head. The beast hadn't had time to react and was cracked all over by his rapid flame punch. Spiritual power rushed through the cracks of the ice tiger and ignited. The whole creature burst into flames. With a bang, the enormous ice tiger was blown apart by Xiang Beifei's rapid flame, shattering into countless ice chunks that scattered throughout the forest. Wow, so strong! Lu Gui watched Xiang Beifei in shock, not having expected him to kill a fearsome desolate beast with just 2 punches. However, Xiang Beifei turned back and stared at Lu Gui, asking, "Are you hiding anything else from me?" Lu Gui was stunned for a moment. A flash of panic crossed his eyes as he said, I'm not hiding anything from you. If you were being chased by this desolate beast, it could have killed you in an instant. Yet how are you still alive?" Xiang Beifei glared at Lu Gui. This ice tiger had the strength of someone in the late stages of chi controlling. Just breathing could form various icicles in the air. Lu Gui was a devotee of the literary Tao, and his system had no ability to protect himself. He couldn't possibly have escaped this ice tiger's pursuit by simply climbing a tree. But he had just fallen from a tree and been knocked unconscious. The ice tiger hadn't killed him. That voice in your mind, what exactly did it tell you to do? Xiang Beifei said gravely. Lu Gui, intimidated by Xiang Beifei's presence, backed up to a tree, his face full of panic. He said, "What do you mean? You don't think I brought this ice tiger here, do you?" Xiang Beifei studied Lu Gui's system interface and said, "You don't have the capability, so you'd best tell me what deal you made with who." All of a sudden, Lu Gui pulled out an ice knife, pointing it at Xiang Beifei, and shouted, "What's with the act? You're in the same situation as me. If you want to leave this place, you have to do the same thing." That voice must have told you too. Xiang Beifei frowned and asked, "Told me what? You really don't know?" "He hasn't told you." Lu Gui looked at Xiang Beifei's expression and realized he did not seem to be feigning ignorance. He put down the ice knife anxiously and shook his head. "Sorry for shouting at you. He'll tell you soon. The only way out of here is that method. This place only allows men to survive. I must kill Xiao Yun to make it. You probably have to do the same to kill your girlfriend." "You want to kill your own girlfriend?" Xiang Beifei furrowed his brows. "I don't want to. I like her. How could I possibly do it?" Lu Gui threw away the ice knife in his hand, looking revolted by it. "This ice knife? Where did it come from? Did you pick it up?" Xiang Beifei had just fought the ice tiger, which had used similar ice knives. Lu Gui shook his head and said, "I don't know what happened. I was driven to the brink by that ice tiger. Then that voice appeared in my head. It said this was a game rule. If I wanted to stay alive, I had to play its game. And then this ice knife mysteriously appeared in my pocket. But at that moment, suddenly there came a commotion from behind, as if someone was running fast, accompanied by panicked screams and many ferocious tiger roars. Swish! 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 Two figures leaped out of the trees. On closer inspection, it was Lu Jiwei and He Yun. Lu Jiwei. When Xiang Beifei saw Lu Jiwei, he called out, "Ah! Beifei, finally found you. Run, run. A whole pack of extreme ice tigers are after us." Lu Jiwei screamed as she dragged He Yun, sprinting towards Xiang Beifei. Hot on their heels were two white ice tigers emanating frost, identical to the one Xiang Beifei had just killed, ferociously chasing after the two women. Beifei darted past Lu Jiwei and He Yun, his body erupting with domineering flames that roared as they thundered towards two extreme ice tigers. The explosive force of his punch slammed into the head of one, sending it flying away. The other extreme ice tiger dodged in time, let out a roar, and spewed a vortex of ice shards towards him. Beifei's flame gale shone brightly once more, blocking in front, incinerating the sudden barrage of icicles. However, more roars erupted from behind the trees. He glanced over and saw no less than a dozen extreme ice tigers encircling them. 15 in total, maybe more. Don't get entangled, these two's cultivation levels are too low. We're no match for them in a straight fight. We need to find higher ground. Lu Jiwei shouted. Beifei also knew that the situation wasn't right. He could handle one extreme ice tiger, but if he were to be surrounded by 15, it would be extraordinarily troublesome, not to mention that there were the literary Taoists, Lu Gui and He Yun. Without hesitation, he kicked away an approaching extreme ice tiger and then retreated, catching up to Lu Jiwei. "Xiao Yun, are you okay?" Lu Gui exclaimed with surprise upon seeing He Yun. "Lu Gui, you're here. That's great." He Yun, being dragged along by Lu Jiwei, was also very excited to see Lu Gui. "Now's not the time. Let's go." Beifei grabbed Lu Gui, who wanted to go to He Yun, and turned his head to run back. "What exactly happened? How did you get surrounded by so many desolate beasts?" "I don't know. I just ran into He Yun. Then they suddenly appeared." Lu Jiwei was pulling along a pale-looking He Yun, who seemed to have many cuts all over, her body covered with mud, looking very bedraggled. Beifei didn't ask any further because it seemed like more extreme ice tigers were joining the encirclement. Their path of escape was quickly cut off and the four of them were trapped under a huge pine tree. Climb the tree! Climb the tree! Beifei grabbed Lu Gui and threw him onto the branches above, while Lu Jiwei brought He-Yun up with her. The four of them stood on the tree branches, looking down at the extreme ice tigers gradually closing in from below. Roar! Roar! A dense pack of extreme ice tigers surrounded them tight, the situation extremely dire. Xiao Yun, you're not hurt, are you? Lu Gui clutched the branches tightly, adjusted his stance, and glanced down anxiously. I'm fine. She saved me. He-Yun also clung firmly to the tree trunk. Good that you're okay, Lu Gui said eagerly. Hold tight, don't fall. The two of you, don't move around, stay put. Lu Jiwei shouted at them while at the same time, for square glass explosion-proof shields appeared in her hand. She waved the shields, enclosing Lu Gui and He-Yun within them. It was her ability, the powerful blast-resistant shields that could withstand attacks from late-stage chi controlling. But with so many extreme ice tigers here, blocking one might still be possible, but they definitely couldn't block so many. Thus, she could only first ensure the two weakest were protected. Be careful, Beifei. This can protect you? Lu Jiwei said as she flung her hand again, and a blast shield appeared on Beifei, flickering in and out of sight, like wrapping him within a protective layer, while a shield also appeared around herself. Whoosh! The leading extreme ice tiger leapt high from the ground, lunging ferociously at them. Lu Jiwei's body ignited with brilliant flames, the pattern of their flow resembling that of Lu Hong's lineage. Her rapid flame was also incredibly strong. Bang! Her fist, cloaked in flames, struck the underside of the lurching extreme ice tiger's jaw, the colossal force repelling it mid-attack. Another was on the approach, but Beifei dashed forward, booting the incoming extreme ice tiger away. Come on, let's work together. Keep an eye out for me. I'm going to give them a taste of their own medicine. Lu Jiwei stood on the branch, her super police system interface revealing a long list of powerful firearms. Flamethrowers, sniper rifles, rocket launchers, grenades, machine guns, every type of firearm imaginable. Rattle. Chapter Find. She swept her spiritual power across, instantly wrapping around 5 weapons from the system interface. A machine gun, rocket launcher, submachine gun, shotgun, and even a rocket-propelled crossbow, each weapon floating in midair. Lu Jiwei's entire body lit up with light as the system fully armed her with a tight black combat suit, adorned with various combat weapons and magazines, completely transforming her appearance into a formidable and efficient warrior. 5 guns floated beside her, entirely controlled by her own spiritual power, while she held 2 machine guns in her hands. Come on! Fire at will! Lu Jiwei shouted loudly. Thud! 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 Boom! Boom! Bang! 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 Machine guns, rocket launchers, and shotguns fired ruthlessly at the extreme ice tigers below, the terrifying rockets falling and hitting an extreme ice tiger, exploding on impact and blasting it into fragments. The explosive shockwave spread, flinging another 2 extreme ice tigers away. Roar! Roar! The extreme ice tigers, enraged by her, charged persistently, but Lu Jiwei's machine guns were not for show, piercing the frontmost extreme ice tiger into a wasp nest, while the other 2 attempting a flank attack were decapitated by her rocket crossbows with a single shot. Boom! 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 The entire forest echoed with the intense sounds of explosions and rumblings as Lu Jiwei, firing from atop a tree branch, obliterated a large swath of extreme ice tigers. Impressive! Beifei watched Lu Jiwei in astonishment. Although he was aware of Lu Jiwei's system capabilities and knew her system included various firearms, Lu Jiwei was not typically a girl who liked to show off her firearms. She had never flaunted them in front of him, nor had she ever threatened him with a gun on a whim. Instead, she would always carry a little notebook, eagerly following him to learn reasoning. Lu Hong had taught her well since childhood, telling her guns should only be used against desolate beasts or bad people, and thus she never used guns in front of Beifei. Because of this, Beifei had momentarily even forgotten that Lu Jiwei was a martial artist, an S-grade super detective capable of utilizing various firearms. When Lu Jiwei got serious, she was utterly ruthless, wielding powerful weapons and bombarding relentlessly, completely routing the frontmost extreme ice tigers. However, she couldn't cover the extreme ice tigers behind her. Their ice blades shot from the rear, but fortunately, Beifei was there to blast away those trying to leap at them. Ha ha ha! Did you really think I was scared of you? Behave yourselves. The more Lu Jiwei bombarded, the more thrilled she became. She had been chased by the extreme ice tigers earlier because she was protecting He-Yun, a novice literary Dao practitioner of chi controlling, without anyone to back her up. Now, with Beifei watching the gaps, she could unleash her capability without restraint. Boom! 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 Not only the extreme ice tigers but also the tall trees suffered. The forest was filled with gun smoke, scattered with shattered remnants of extreme ice tigers composed of ice blocks, presenting a grisly scene. Haha! I have never had such a thrilling fight except in school simulation classes. Beifei, do you want to try a heavy machine gun? It's exhilarating. Lu Jiwei excitedly tossed a light machine gun to Beifei. Beifei realized he had indeed underestimated Lu Jiwei, who, although usually carefree and occasionally brandishing her fists, excelled not in close combat but in long-range bombardment. I'll give it a try. Beifei had never handled firearms before, but given the numerous enemies, he found ranged attacks obviously more convenient than close combat. He attempted firing a few bursts, but the strong recoil was uncomfortable for him, and his shots wildly missed the mark. You can't shoot like that, there's recoil in a machine gun. You need to do it like this. As Lu Jiwei controlled her firearms to fire automatically, she also quickly instructed Beifei on how to use the light machine gun. Beifei learned quickly. His learn-by-analogy ability soon mastered the heavy machine gun, and then he began wildly firing at the extreme ice tigers. Thud! 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 Back to back. The two were engulfed in gunfire and swirling smoke, flashes of light echoing through the forest as they took down the charging extreme ice tigers. Beifei also managed to throw a few grenades down, wiping them out entirely. In a brawl, Lu Jiwei's system capabilities were simply unbeatable. Not bad. You're a quick learner. Together, we can be a formidable duo. Lu Jiwei laughed heartily, her weapons ceaselessly softening up the once formidable extreme ice tigers into a fleeing mess. Not bad. Beifei didn't continue using brute force. While he was also formidable in close combat, it was better to engage from a distance, particularly since they had the geographical advantage. Commanding the high ground, they bombed the extreme ice tigers who couldn't mount an attack. The group of extreme ice tigers retreated far away. They could only try to dodge behind trees, but the power of the rockets was not to be underestimated. The damage these weapons could cause was linked to Lu Jiwei's level of cultivation, and being in the advanced stages of chi controlling, she posed a significant deterrence against the extreme ice tigers. All around, the trees were blasted askew by Lu Jiwei's formidable firepower, clearing a large area in the forest. But the extreme ice tigers collectively retreated to a distance, no longer attempting an attack but instead spraying whirlwinds. These frost-laden cyclones whipped up strong winds in the forest, quickly sweeping up the fragmented remains of the extreme ice tigers and transforming them into sharp ice blades. Whoosh! 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 Countless ice knives densely shot from all directions off the ground, with Xiang Beifei and Lu Jiwei firing at them, only to quickly realize that their target wasn't them, but rather the large pine tree they were standing on. Crack! The ice knives of the extreme ice tiger were powerful and sharp. A few sweeps of the blades, and the pine tree on which Xiang Beifei and his group stood was severed in the middle. Not good. Lu Jiwei was enjoying her shooting too much and forgot about this. As the pine tree fell, they fell too. Xiang Beifei and Lu Jiwei could only stop shooting, quickly grabbed He-Yun and Lu Guei, and jumped out, landing on the ground. But now, the four of them lost the high ground advantage. They swept again with the machine gun, but those extreme ice tigers seemed to have learned and collectively conjured a wall of ice in front of them. Jiwei, stop shooting or those bullets will probably bounce back at us. By now, They were completely surrounded by 4 ice walls, firmly bonded together, blocking all their paths of escape. The ice walls continuously moved, creating a cage to trap them. "It's over, we can't escape," Lu Gui muttered to himself. "What do we do? What do we do? We can't stop these desolate beasts." Hiyun also spoke in a rushed tone. "It's okay. It's okay. They must have a way." Lu Gui comforted Hiyun. "Beifei, I am out of ideas." Lu Jiwei tried to melt the ice walls with a laser gun, but it was deflected back by the wall, almost hitting her. The ice walls created by countless chi-controlling late-stage extreme ice tigers were now able to stop Lu Jiwei's firepower. Amongst this chaos, Xiaohei scratched Xiang Beifei's ear and barked twice. Xiang Beifei was surprised and turned to ask Xiaohei on his shoulder, "Do you have a way to get them out of this space?" Xiaohei barked and nodded. Beifei had forgotten that this was a space created by the World Control System, which could render any system ability ineffective. Not to mention this virtual space, even if Lu Jiwei fired a rocket at him from the system, Xiaohei would intercept it. Xiaohei was specifically designed to counter all kinds of fancy systems. "You should have said so earlier, then we wouldn't have been in such a predicament. Let's get out first." Xiang Beifei scanned the surroundings. This space was artificially created, but he still hadn't seen where the person controlling it was hiding. Their enemy was using the extreme ice tigers to push them to the brink, so there was no point in staying any longer. Xiang Beifei was about to send Lu Gui and Hiyun out of this place and back to reality, but at that moment, a scream suddenly came from behind. Lu Gui looked at Hiyun in disbelief, with an ice knife embedded in his abdomen, clearly the blade of an extreme ice tiger. Blood soaked through Lu Gui's clothes and dripped onto the ground. "Xiao Yun, how could you?" Lu Gui looked at Hiyun in horror. Lu Jiwei was shocked and exclaimed, "Hiyun, what have you done?" Hiyun's hands shook as she said, I'm sorry, it's the only way." He said, "It's the game rule. Only women can survive. I have to kill you. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." Lu Gui's face went deathly pale. "He told you?" "He told me too, but he said only men could survive here. But I like you so much, I really can't bring myself to do it. I thought you liked me too. Why could you be so heartless?" He had no intention of attacking Hiyun and had thrown away his ice knife long ago. "I want to live." Hiyun seemed on the verge of tears. "I'm sorry, I want to live. I have to survive. I still have a sister to take care of, and my parents to look after. Is this your excuse for killing?" Xiang Beifei looked at Hiyun coldly. "Why bother finding excuses? Just say you're greedy for life and fear death." Hiyun began to sob. Lu Jiwei said, "Hiyun, have you lost your mind? You believed what that person said? You took his nonsense seriously. After I just tried to save you too." Hiyun, looking frenzied as the ice walls closed in around them, shouted desperately at Lu Jiwei. He said, "It's part of the game rules. The men have to die. If you want to escape, you have to kill your boyfriend too. You must kill him." She seemed to be urgently hoping Lu Jiwei would make the same choice as her, to strike at Xiang Beifei. Only then would she feel some relief, sparing herself from too much torment. "How does it matter if I heard it? Do you think everyone is as foolish as you are? Can you live with yourself after killing the person you care about just to escape?" Lu Jiwei retorted angrily. "Don't you dare blame me. You were instructed too. If you don't kill your boyfriend, you can't leave either." Hiyun shrieked at Lu Jiwei. Lu Jiwei, hands on her hips and furious, declared, "I am a law enforcer, not a murderer. You idiot." That man's voice had also appeared in her mind, but she hadn't taken his threats seriously, not even believing his words were true, always intending to catch this person and confront him. "I thought you liked me. You weren't supposed to attack me." Lu Gui's face grew paler. "You promised to protect me at all costs. If only one of us could live, you'd certainly want me to survive, so I had no choice. You won't blame me, will you?" Hiyun looked like she was about to collapse. She was truly scared, especially when the extreme ice tiger pinned her down, and the chilling breath made her feel utterly hopeless. She wanted to live, even seeing the slightest chance. But then the extreme ice tiger really let her go, leaving behind an ice knife. She was too scared, accepting the rules of the killer on the highway cruise line in utter despair. She had to kill Lu Gue. She couldn't reconcile it with her conscience, so she desperately searched for excuses, hoping that Lu Jiwei would do the same to lessen her guilt. Lu Gue looked at Hiyun with a bitter expression. I did hope you would survive. Live a good life. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. He was heartbroken. The girl he had loved for so long could treat him like this. He thought he found the one to share his life with, had even thought about proposing to her in the future. But the knife felt so cold, piercingly cold. Don't blame me. I'm sorry. It's the game's rules he set. I'm just an N-level awakener. I can't resist, I just want to live. Hiyun stood up and kept backing away, retreating to the corner of the ice wall, away from Xiang Beifei and the others. Lu Gue passed out, and Lu Jiwei quickly used her police medical supplies to stop his bleeding. You fool, if it's the game rules, then why can't you leave? Lu Jiwei said while treating Lu Gue. Hiyun, in panic, started banging on the ice wall, yelling into the air. I killed him. Why won't you let me leave? Because he's not dead yet. A lazy voice came from the woods. Xiang Beifei heard it too this time, and he searched for the source of the voice, soon spotting a figure sitting on a tree branch, watching them with mockery. Through the thick ice wall, Xiang Beifei couldn't see the person's face clearly, only sensing the figure seemed to be wearing a mask. But he did make out the person's system. Host, Zhu Xinjue. SR level World Control System. Realm, Early Meridian Opening. This guy, indeed, is an SR level awakener. Xiang Beifei watched warily. Uncle Lu's crows couldn't scan this person, simply because he wasn't ordinary. Not only that, but the law enforcers seemed to have mistakenly estimated the highway cruise killer as strength. The person was not at the late chi controlling stage, but at the early meridian opening stage. Or perhaps, this guy has just stepped into the meridian opening stage? Xiang Beifei was pondering in his mind. An SR level system actually had very strong innate talent too, increasing its holder's strength very rapidly, only a fine line weaker than SSR, but reaching early meridian opening in 1 year of awakening. That meant that this person could very likely still be a student. Having the SR system, definitely a talent from one of the 9 elite universities, yet they commit crimes while wearing a mask. Xiang Beifei was browsing the other party's system introduction. SR level world control system. You can choose from a variety of adventure worlds, complete tasks within to obtain rewards, and after clearing them, you can control the current world. You can drag anyone into your world, and within this world, they can only abide by the rules you set. Current controlled world. Lonely Island. The rules you set. Couples brought to this lonely island by the crews must face a trial. If one decides to kill the other, the one who takes action will die, and the victim will survive. If both wish to kill their partner, then both will die. If neither wishes to kill the other, choosing to die together, then they will both live. Zhu Xinjue's system contained a variety of world options, including zombie apocalypse, abandoned building survival, plane crash self-rescue, and dungeon guerrilla. All these adventure worlds required Zhu Xinjue to clear them himself, and the rewards for each clearance were immense. Lonely Island was just a simple world, but Zhu Xinjue found that in this world, he could also bring in real-world couples, and if he could induce them to kill each other, the rewards were quite substantial. Special reward. If one of the tested couples dies, you will obtain all of the deceased's cultivation, with a survival value of plus 1,000. It was a shortcut to becoming stronger, so he disguised himself as the highway cruise killer, deliberately crashing couples into this world with a cruise, then tempting them to kill each other. Hiyun kept banging on the ice wall, shouting in fright and anger, "No, let me out. Please, I don't want to die here." Her desire to survive was incredibly strong. She had just been terrified by those ferocious extreme ice tigers. Being only an N-level awakener with no self-protection ability, she only thought about leaving, to the point she would even attack her own boyfriend with whom she'd spent her days and nights. However, Zhu Xinjue sneered and said, If you want to leave, you can only do so by killing your boyfriend. As long as he's alive, you can't leave. Lu Jiwei stood up, furious. You bastard! Are you that twisted inside to take pleasure in this kind of thing? Take pleasure? Ha ha ha. Pleasure is just one part of it. Zhu Xinjue mockingly watched Lu Jiwei, having witnessed her unleashing her full firepower. He had to admit the girl was incredibly strong, blasting those ice tigers without any chance to fight back. Only in the face of his own SR-level Meridian opening initial stage, Lu Jiwei was still nothing. He controlled the ice tigers, coordinating their actions, easily fending off Lu Jiwei. If you want to live, you have to kill your boyfriend, Zhu Xinjue said to Lu Jiwei. Dream on. I'm not as disgusting as you, Lu Jiwei spat out. You may think so, but maybe your boyfriend behind you is contemplating how to kill you. Aren't you going to be wary of him? Zhu Xinjue mockingly looked at Xiang Beifei, saying, You may know people's faces but not their hearts. I've seen too many couples participate in my games. At critical moments, many so-called couples who swore never to part chose to kill their other half to survive. I've seen plenty of such cases. He laughed proudly, his laugh piercingly sharp. Some naive people think their other half loves them, won't make a move, but in the end, they find themselves stabbed by the person they trusted, mercilessly shattering the trust between them. Zhu Xinjue laughed out loud, his gaze shifting between Xiang Beifei and Lu Jiwei. So, here's a piece of advice for you two lovebirds. Is there really such a thing as true love in this world? When it comes to survival, so-called unbreakable bonds aren't worth mentioning. Lu Jiwei shouted angrily. You sick twist! Were you betrayed by someone, and that's why you can't stand to see others happy? Zhu Xinjue seemed to have been hit where it hurts by Lu Jiwei's words. He snorted coldly and declared, The person who betrayed me has long been buried deep in the ocean of this world. So I guessed right, Lu Jiwei said contemptuously. Zhu Xinjue's eyes were frosty. Indeed, Lu Jiwei was right. He had once loved someone, but was betrayed, so he resented any loving couple in this world, wanting to prove that between two people, affection means nothing in the face of true despair. I've already told you the rules of the game. If you want to survive, let's see whose knife is sharper among you two lovebirds. Lu Jiwei said, You're still too green to drive a wedge between us. Since you're not playing the game my way, then you need to learn a lesson on what happens when you don't follow the rules. Zhu Xinjue said with a faint smile. Whoosh! He-Yun, who had been pounding on the ice wall, suddenly found an ice dagger thrust out from the wall in front of her, piercing her heart. He-Yun's eyes widened in shock, staring at Zhu Xinjue. Why? I've already made a move on him. But you didn't kill him, he was revived. So only you must die. He-Yun's eyes bulged with fear as she strained to turn her head, looking at Lu Gue lying on the ground. Even in her dying moments, her eyes were still filled with a hint of unwillingness and confusion. See, she never regretted her choice, not even before her death. She's still wondering why her boyfriend hasn't died yet. This world, huh? Where is there such a thing as weathering storms together or having an unbreakable bond? Zhu Xinjue set a game rule for this world, and He-Yun's death adhered to this rule. If she chose to turn on her other half, then she herself would die. But he wouldn't disclose this hidden rule to Lu Jiwei, because even though this system world offered an option to survive, what he really wanted to see was not the survival of a couple, but rather that the two people ruthlessly killed each other to death. In fact, even if both parties were unwilling to kill each other, Zhu Xinjue would lend a hand and directly kill them both. Whether it was for entertainment or to gain the other's spiritual power, he wouldn't allow anyone to escape. Even if Lu Gue had chosen not to strike He-Yun, Zhu Xinjue would still have killed Lu Gue. He loathed any loving couple. If he couldn't have it, he didn't want to see anyone else have it either. Up to now, not a single couple had escaped from his grasp. Damn it! Lu Jiwei was shocked to see He-Yun actually pierced through the heart by an ice blade, wanted to pull her back, but the ice wall had already dragged He-Yun into it, merging her with the wall to form a statue of ice. He-Yun still looked at the man who had fallen to the ground from within the ice layer. She wanted to live and make it out, wanted to abide by Zhu Xinjue's game rules, but she didn't expect that she would be the first to die. So how will you two choose? Who will kill whom? Zhu Xinjue mockingly looked at Xiang Beifei and Lu Jiwei. Neither of us will kill the other, Lu Jiwei said angrily. Then both of you will have to die. Zhu Xinjue let out a cruel laugh. Xiang Beifei furrowed his brows as he looked at the guy in front of him and said in a low voice, Lu Jiwei, you take Lu Gui and get out first. Lu Jiwei paused, asking, Get out? How do we get out? You don't mean for me to kill you, do you? I won't do it. Take Lu Gui and get out. Xiaohei wrapped the system's abilities around Lu Jiwei and Lu Gui, ejecting them from the space created by the system, while he charged towards the ice wall. Whoosh! Xiaohei suddenly kicked Lu Jiwei and Lu Gui out of Lonely Island. And because they were not Xiang Beifei, upon being kicked out of this system world by Xiaohei, the two reappeared in their original forest, unable to see Xiang Beifei anymore. Beifei! Xiang Beifei! Where did you go? Lu Jiwei stood up hastily, calling out loudly. But the forest was silent, with no signs of struggle, as if it was totally different from just a moment ago, resembling a return to reality even more. Don't you do anything stupid. Lu Jiwei started to get anxious. What's going on? Zhu Xinjue sensed something was amiss from a distance, immediately got up, but found that both Lu Jiwei and Lu Gui had suddenly vanished into the ice wall, whereas Xiang Beifei, at some unspecified time, had already passed through the ice wall and stood on a clearing in the forest. Such a pity. I could have saved you. Xiang Beifei turned his head to look at He-Yun, who had already been dragged into the block of ice, feeling somewhat regretful. He had the means to lead everyone out, it was just that He-Yun hadn't waited for that moment to come. He-Yun, thinking she was in a hopeless situation, had intended to kill Lu Gui in order to escape, but she did not expect that Zhu Xinjue didn't plan to let them live in the first place, and instead, he killed her. Zhu Xinjue was a chi-controlling practitioner at the stage of Meridian Opening, and this world, being one he controlled after passing through the barrier, made killing almost a matter of thought, something Xiang Beifei, no matter how quick his response, couldn't prevent. He didn't look at He-Yun again. She had made her choice and paid her price. But now, he needed to deal with this troublesome fellow. Xiang Beifei's gaze refocused on Zhu Xinjue, a practitioner at the initial stage of Meridian Opening, very powerful. This space created by the system overlapped with the original world, and with Xiaohei's help, he could move freely between the real world and the system space. Earlier on the outside, he had realized that he could see Lu Jiwei, but not touch her. If he stood in the real world, he could see people in the system space, but neither could interact with the other. That also meant he could legitimately use this ability to deal with Zhu Xinjue. Xiang Beifei must try, or else if he left this place, Zhu Xinjue would pursue him to the outside world. Uncle Lu was definitely taken to another world, unable to confront Zhu Xinjue head-on. Then they would stand even less of a chance. Where did they go? Zhu Xinjue actually failed to notice how Lu Jiwei and Lu Gui had disappeared. Anyone who came into his system world must abide by the rules of his system, and without his permission, no one could leave, yet now two people had abruptly vanished right under his eyes, which infuriated him. There had never been a couple who escaped from his grasp before. Could it be that you also possess space abilities? Did you take them into your space? Zhu Xinjue glared at Xiang Beifei with a sullen expression. But on closer thought, it seemed wrong. His was an SR-level system, already considered a high-level system, which had absolute suppression over lower-level systems, so space abilities lower than SR level were ineffective here. Unless Xiang Beifei possessed a system like his, or one that was even more advanced. Are you an SR? Or perhaps an SSR? Zhu Xinjue looked at Xiang Beifei, his heart becoming slightly wary. The person in front of him looked very young and seemed familiar from somewhere, but he couldn't recall where at the moment. Xiang Beifei didn't speak. Instead, his figure shifted, and he charged toward Zhu Xinjue. Zhu Xinjue saw Xiang Beifei recklessly attempting to make a move and sneered, "You're overestimating yourself. Even if your system's level is high, what of it? You're just a chi-controlling late-stage cultivator." He had clearly observed Xiang Beifei's confrontation with the extreme Ice Tiger and knew Xiang Beifei's true strength. The gap between late-stage Qi controlling and meridian opening was like a chasm, not so easily crossed. Whoosh! Zhu Xinjue tensed his body as the blizzard around him swiftly whirled, circulating around his entire body and quickly converging in his hand, forming a long ice blade. The ice blade was blue all over, 3 feet long, and its edge shone sharply. He slightly raised his eyelids, saying with a mocking look, "Especially here in my space, you stand no chance." Hum! Zhu Xinjue's blue ice blade vibrated in the air, releasing a powerful surge of spiritual power. This surge was extremely fierce, causing the air to buzz. Swoosh! His ice blade swiftly slashed towards Xiang Beifei. The slash was incredibly fast. Like lightning, it arrived in an instant, striking towards Xiang Beifei. Zhu Xinjue, being an SR-level early-stage meridian opening practitioner, not only had a high system talent, but his cultivation was also advanced. The strength and speed of meridian opening practitioner strikes were utterly different from late-stage Qi-controlling practitioners, both swift and powerful. Xiang Beifei's gaze sharpened, his eyes fixed on the ice blade without any carelessness. Although Xiaohe could deal with fanciful system items, if the opponent relied on their own spiritual power to confront Xiang Beifei, Xiaohe wouldn't be able to block those things. Zhu Xinjue's slash, the ice blade he formed, wasn't a system ability, but an attack method cultivated, strong enough to hurt him. Moreover, as a late-stage Qi-controlling cultivator, he couldn't block a strike from a meridian opening practitioner. But Xiang Beifei didn't panic because Xiaohe was tightly gripping his shoulder, intently watching the raging ice blade. Zoom! Just as Zhu Xinjue's ice blade was about to sweep past him, Xiaohe had already flashed Xiang Beifei out of the system space. The ice blade passed directly through his body without causing any harm. And after it did, Xiang Beifei had once again entered the system space, closing in on Zhu Xinjue. Zhu Xinjue's lonely island cruise space was anchored to the real world, overlapping with it, so as Xiang Beifei switched his form between the reality and the system space, his re-entry after leaving kept him in the same position. How can this be? Zhu Xinjue's expression changed slightly, and he was astonished to see Xiang Beifei didn't avoid his attack and seemingly let the blade strike him, yet remained unharmed. Although Xiang Beifei disappeared and reappeared quickly, for some unknown reason, there was a moment when he suddenly couldn't sense Xiang Beifei's presence. It was as if the connection to this world had been severed, puzzling him. But he had no time to ponder this as Xiang Beifei's disappearance was but a brief moment, quickly reconnecting, and he was already in close range. Swoosh! Explosive flames surged around Xiang Beifei, the fire converging on his fists, as he threw a punch toward Zhu Xinjue's chest.